Walk. I'll stand where I want to stand.
That's our car, not yours. Shut up.
I'm restraining.
Get away. We pay for it.
You say get away from my car. Don't the taxpayers
Get away.
No. Taxpayers pay for that car?
That one's mine.
That's your personal.
Sergeant Morambi.
It's being used.
Morabito, yeah.
So it's a public vehicle.
Said driving down Van Dyke at like 23 miles, they just start videotaping them. It's like I toured for a while, then they just started kind of revving and flipping me off, yelling stuff at me. But did they run at you? You know, they didn't hit his car, they didn't do anything, just video.
Hey, guess what, fuck slave? The Supreme Court has already ruled you can tell a cop to fuck themselves. You can give them a middle finger. You can say and do whatever the fuck you want to do as long as you don't impede their investigation. So if I'm across the street telling you to go fuck your mother and that you're a tyrant piece of shit pig, you don't legally or lawfully have any ability to do anything. I know that's hard on your ego. I know you can't imagine checking your ego so we could all have freedom. And that's exactly why you're not servants. That's exactly why you're tyrants. Because you roll up your sleeves as soon as you don't get what you like and you do harm to people you're supposed to serve and protect. It's a fucking joke at this point. It's beyond a joke. It's tragic. And it's coming high time very shortly for everybody to repent. That time is coming. You can feel it in the air like Beanie Siegel, right? You can feel it in the air. You can feel it in the ether. You can see it in the conversation. The conversation's everywhere. You can feel it in the air also that what happened the last 3 years is not going away. People are not like forgetting. They've forgiven, but they're not forgetting, and they know what happened more than ever now, and they're not willing to do it again the same way we did it last time. Okay? And there is no we, because I didn't do any of it. Let's be clear. Okay, I'll completely cop to it. There's a few times we're at the weed store. Every single day at the weed store, I'd argue with them and they weren't budging an inch and they had cops outside. So certain points, I take my shirt. I would have two shirts. I take the outside shirt off and I put it around my face, go in and get weed and I come out. Right? I ain't wearing their blue mask and I ain't taking their fucking treatments. Right? And I probably shouldn't even have copped to that. I should have just went back to, other ways and means. But, when you're on Denver and you're in the middle of slavery, when in Rome, do as the Romans, as they say, right? And that's why shortly after that, I got the fuck out of Dodge and I went to small town USA and I went out to the middle of the forest where they weren't even observing that crap to begin with. The mandate wasn't a statewide mandate. They weren't forcing any of it and the local people weren't doing it because they realized it was ridiculous. So, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated, if nothing else.
So he's going to get out of here.
Okay. Well, we'll deal with these guys then.
Yeah.
We got you got nothing. That's what you got. Yeah. Yeah, Sergeant. But this little check. He's a sergeant. Check.
Okay, what is this?
You ever hear?
Look, it looks like clowns on the fucking playground, right? Middle school clowns on the playground.
This is freedom of speech too. Right. But you don't have those freedoms when you're on duty.
He thinks he has freedom of speech in uniform. See, this is part of the problem. He doesn't understand the rights that we all have, and he thinks he has the same rights we all have or more when in costume. This is why they all need to be dealt with. I'm not talking about violence. I'm not talking about physically. I'm saying all you folks out there who keep collecting a check, you better get your fucking chimpanzees in line. Because it's a problem at this point. You know it and I know it. And that's why more and more of them each day are getting their fucking uniforms cut off them and getting arrested. Let's be clear. You can all act like you don't know what's going on, but we have the videos and we have the reports. You folks thought you were just going to do whatever the fuck you want and it was going to continue forever. And there wasn't going to be people like me out there who are going to say no this far and no further. And we're going to keep living what's true and what's right. And we're going to speak it and show it. And you folks are going to have to back the fuck down off of your nonsense, because the alternative is we're all going to slavery and genocide. Oh, wait, we're already there. So there's nothing left to live for at this point. That's the cruel, harsh reality about it. There is a fate worse than death, living on your fucking knees and then convincing your children to live the same way because you're a punk ass fucking coward who isn't active in the truth and in your life. It's time for a change. We know that. It's been time for a while and it's happening. That's why I and others are here. It's obvious.
No, they don't even give me a You're definitely getting
We'll send them on their way.
Watch the plates come in. Watch the phone calls roll in.
Don't act like that. Get off your property.
Hey, get your hand. Get your hands. Don't touch our car. Don't touch the car. Yeah, he'll get a complaint too.
Worse than worse than it is.
Wow, y'all a bunch of tyrants up here. Bunch of tyrants. Wow, this is public property, guys. Explain that. Publicly accessible, not closed. Hey, y'all are pushing me around, guys. I'm not pushing you. You are pushing me. Asking you to walk. You didn't ask me to walk. You just shoved me around.
Have a seat right there.
Yeah, I got a bruise on my shoulder from slamming it against the wall. So
Yep. You know what? You spit at me. I saw you.
Yeah, you did.
With that matter resolved, we can return to Sergeant Morabito, who makes a phone call in the aftermath of the episode.
One in custody for trespassing. The other two decided to leave when we arrested the one. Yep.
We got him in custody.
Told to leave,
We
we're gonna
arrested
leave,
someone, so we
leave
got
from here to
power. We
Texas.
won.
Yep. His well-being. I'm gonna. Well. You need to talk to the mayor. You need to talk to the mayor about getting me out of this job. That's what you need to do. You need to tell the mayor it's time for Morabito to go. He's a fucking liability to the department. He's a hothead, and he'll kill somebody. That's what you need to tell the mayor.
He'll kill somebody. Did you hear
All right,
that?
we'll let him cool.
Right. So there he is talking to his superiors, basically begging. This is how sick it is. Begging for someone to inform on him because he already knows he's a liability, and he's catching himself on camera saying, forget the well-being. He's got to get his get back to whoever's in the cell. And this is the point, is you don't think this goes on all day, every day? This guy's just fucking that over the edge that he's talking about himself in third person as the liability. Hey, you need to tell the mayor, let me out of this job because I'm such a fucking liability. I'm going to kill somebody. It's sick. He's begging to be let go, and they something they already should have been aware of and got onto and dealt with. They won't even deal with when the man is begging to be let out of his obligations because he knows he's sick and morbid and a liability and demonic. It's amazing. You can't make this shit up. I somehow went to like 3/4 of the way through, and it was exactly, I guess, what we needed, right? Because I can't get through 35 minutes of a clip, but 3/4 of the way through, apparently we saw the interaction and we heard, I guess, the best thing that someone could say who's in uniform. So synchronicity, I guess. I'm a fan of that. What is that now? What are you holding up?
That's the mayor's card from the day of that event.
Right. Yeah. You know, I listen. How much better can you do than having their own actions and words on record talking about themselves in the third person as demonic liabilities? I'll rest on that. I'll yield. Oh man, you can't make any of this shit up.
All right.
They'd say it wasn't real. They'd say you lied. It couldn't be real.
When we arrested the first one,
Right.
they were like, "Okay, we're going. Bye-bye." Well, we've got one identified. Now we got the other one identified. He's in the cell. Because now the soul's calling for medical. He's going to get medical. My foot up is medical. God, I wish you guys wouldn't have recorded that.
We don't know what it is that Morabito wishes had not been reported, but it's never a good sign when a police
Hey, bro, what
officer
kind of
expresses
drugs is this
dismay
guy
about
on,
his
too?
actions
Is it another coincidence that every time you see these people, they all have gray skin, dark circled eyes, and are like hateful, bitter, resentful, and they're always on drugs, it seems, because they're like demonically possessed. He's like fighting with himself to not do what he knows he like craves to do, right?
Yeah,
and even though it's amazing.
I think it's steroids. I would say
Yeah,
steroids.
it might
Like we got Snafu here. Maybe Snafu's delivering some zebra steroids.
You're lagging, penile power. You're killing me. Guys, you penile power. You got to get a better computer and better connection. You go to say something, you think there's silence, and you're lagging. It's like the second or third time, and you do it regularly. Now, then I got to remove you, and I got to feel bad about it. Do you want more of this guy fighting with himself? Yeah, let's do more of that. It's kind of interesting. I always say you suck, your clips suck, and then turns out this is like better than anything. This is great. This is great entertainment.
I'm probably Well, thank you for saying that.
Or words being caught on
I mean,
tape.
I'm trying to give
Perhaps
you like
he's unaware that his
credibility,
own
like in
body
the
cam is on for the
game.
duration
Like,
of the
this
phone
is my
call,
arena.
potentially exposing his words to a much larger audience.
Is it possible
than he
these are
intended.
most of them back there? This isn't the only
You got
guy
nothing,
doing
that's
this.
what you got.
Yeah, Sarge, you need to put this little bitch in check.
He's a Sarge too.
There he is, gray skin, dark circle eyes.
You ever hear of
It looks like You Tell Me, right? Isn't it fascinating how they all look the same? That You Tell Me guy who hangs with Slow State looks just like this guy. Puffy, yellow skin, dark circled eyes, just broken dreams, bitter anger, resentment in the eyes.
No soul,
Yeah,
Soulless.
fighting with itself.
right?
Doesn't know which way is up. Corrupt. They're all the same. I'm telling you that this is what people thousands of years ago looked at and saw and said, "Holy shit, there's angels and demons here." Right? This is like what they concluded just by what we've experienced over and over again. They all look the same. They all have the same look in their eye. They all fucking do the same shit, and they're all like fighting themselves to let the demon take over and harm innocent people. Look at it. Like, look at the creature.
All the swearing that you're out, it ain't yours. All the swearing.
It's called freedom of speech.
Don't swear freedom of speech.
It's freedom of speech.
You, this is freedom of speech too.
Wow. Wow.
That's why they make these movies and books with this creature.
You're going to get
Same
some time off
creature.
for that one, buddy.
You are. You're definitely getting some time off of that one. partner.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, watch the complaints come in. Watch the phone calls roll in.
Don't even think about touching that.
You don't get to get
Not
out.
your property.
Hey,
Get off my car.
don't touch our car.
John 5
Don't touch the car. Dumbass.
What's your badge number? What's your name and badge number? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name, asshole?
Yeah, they just park anywhere, park in the middle. We do whatever the fuck we want. We don't have to identify. And this is what KFAR and the rest of the yellow skinned, gray circled eyed Voldemort tards of this world will continue to support and like suck the dick of and the feet of. They love it. They can't get enough of it for democracy and safety, right? Give us more. Oh, they shouldn't have been out there harassing them police by recording. Yeah, right. And they'll just completely ignore what the guy's saying in the background, how he just wants to kill and harm people. That's what he's driven by, begging to be let out of his job. Okay, I think are we done with that? Do we need more? Where's Snappy Snaps Creature? He's been relatively quiet today, uncharacteristically quiet, a little too quiet. Snappy Snaps Creature?
Daddy.
You have any comments? Any commentary? Digital experience?
Yeah, that's an old clip from years ago. It's always a classic, definitely, and I think you nailed it. That's how they are. That's what they do. Like they're fighting within themselves. I put a crazy clip in your backstage. Everyone needs to remember how fragile life is, man. This shit fucking gnarly, dude. Remember how fragile life is, guys. It gets struck at any time.
What is he, praying?
Yep,
Well,
he
he
was
must-
praying the whole time as he was killing those people. I mean, you could hear the horror in his voice as he went around that corner, but yeah, that's what he was doing.
There you go. Slaves up to their old business. Killing, stealing, destroying. What else is new, huh? Okay, so speaking of tyrants, we got a new video by Talcott Clip Collection. So bear with me. It's only a few minutes. We're going to view it. Then we're going to go to breaking slave news. And then we're going to go to body cam footage. Cops killing citizen slaves for safety and democracy, of course. And it's very disturbing, I must say. Folks like that, apparently. What they're into on the internet. So a rise of a new political party, TALSOC, TALSOC. We'll view it, right? I don't really like nowadays giving Slave Cot too much time, energy, attention, too much indirect promotion. He's not thankful and grateful for it anyway. He says I've ruined his reputation and credibility. So I'm playing this basically because Talcott clip collection puts so much time, energy, attention in, and is so brilliant with his presentments that I would be remiss if I didn't present them here when he completes them. So we will look at it. I will try to remain open-hearted, open-minded, in good humor. But I'm pretty much done with that creature, at least for a time. Okay, get to it. Talsock, rise of a new political party. That's pretty much what's going on over there. So once again, a bit non-bit.
What do I do? How do I escape this bullshit from Paul Cotflix, his little arrogant piece of shit fucking mockery of me?
I'm your daddy. Me and Cotflix are your fucking two daddies. You look and act like you had two daddies growing up. So that's me and Cotflix.
Doublespeak is language designed to evade responsibility.
Choose more, do less.
Make the unpleasant appear
Great already.
pleasant.
What is good? What is good feels good.
The unattractive appear attractive.
The truth is a feeling.
Basically, it's language that pretends to communicate, but really doesn't.
Manipulation of facts, gaslighting, those type of things.
It is language designed to mislead
Distortions of truth
while pretending not to.
presented as lies.
We should be aware of it so that we can at least be defensive and defend ourselves so that we're not misled through it.
In your confusion, you've jumped to a conclusion.
But secondly, there are times when we simply cannot tolerate this language.
Just get the fuck over it.
When we talk about important public issues of national policy, we should not use doublespeak as a nation.
Many people today, especially in America, oppose socialism. And I'm not, let me be clear, I'm not proposing directly socialism either. But why is there such a fear of socialism or communism?
We should not use it ourselves. We should not allow the politicians who are speaking to us to use it.
Yes, history has given us distorted examples where a lot of people were murdered and a lot of bodies were stacked up.
Language that way can be terribly corrupting in a society and can mislead all of us.
Why would capitalism fear socialism and communism? Oh, the profits. Oh yeah, it's all about the profits.
I think it's about freedoms too.
No, that's the deception. That's part of the propaganda.
How much freedom do we have compared to North Koreans, for example?
Just get the fuck over it. You don't have a choice. I do have the goal to become known worldwide with the Live Without Fear. It's my hope that if I can grow and rise, my purpose that I've felt inspired to pursue is to share the truth. The simplicity of life is truly to be honest, to be authentic, and to be honest and authentic, you've got to be humble. There's many similarities in my life story to that of Jesus. I humble myself to the truth. I'm a retelling of the Jesus story. One could say the second coming.
Anyone? Neither.
Having two opposing beliefs at once, and believing that both are true.
Excellent. Neither.
To deliberately believe in lies while knowing they're false.
I don't think that your views could be implemented without authoritarianism.
Okay, if you view the current structure as a fit into the authoritarianism, you're right. I believe the perfect opportunity to implement these ideas that I'm suggesting that I learned from others, I think the best time to do it is under an authoritarian regime. I think the best time to do it is under an authoritarian regime. We've got everything in place. That's why Klaus and his advisors, they're on the same plan.
Right, that's what he just said.
Yeah, so you agree with me?
Well, it's the next step.
It would look like this.
It's right now, and now is the time to set everyone free from this deception and illusion of delusion of authority. Why is there such a fear of socialism or communism? A lot of people were murdered. At time to set everyone free, and a lot of bodies were stacked up.
You already agreed with Flo that authoritarianism is going to be the future. I just don't.
Well, I didn't say that. I think that both of your ideals would have that be that way. I don't think that's just. Go ahead.
And I disagree. I do disagree. What I recognized is that implementation, a path through implementation, does mean use the authoritarian structures that are already in existence.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll get people to volunteer for experimental injections and things. And then we're paying to put in these towers of frequency for the next generation, and every town is either part of it or they think they can't do anything against it. Just get the fuck over it. You don't have a choice. Oh, this could be fun. How delightful.
Fascinating. Cloudflakes with a very revealing clip collection there. I mean, what can be said, huh? When they show you and tell you who and what they are, believe them. I think I'm done with that other Piglet clip of the guy telling everyone he's a horrible person. I could have figured that. You know, he's in a fascist costume, pretending he has authority and power. So, yeah, nothing that we haven't heard or seen before. I guess let's get to the breaking slave news, huh? Why not? It's always entertaining. Nothing else. Deadliest day yet for Israel and Gaza war. That's what they're reporting. That's the reports. They're also saying now they want to do a 2-month limited ceasefire. I guess the controllers, the planners, aren't quite ready to go forward all the way with the next step. They may need another couple months to kind of get everything in place and then resume the war. So let's see what they got to say about that. Of course, your trusted mainstream media sources. Many of you folks who call me and other sovsits and don't understand legal versus lawful, you're still watching CNBS, MSLSD, Fox Noise, and all the rest. What else is new? Huh?
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, the deadliest day yet in Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza.
Wonder who started all this.
24 Israeli soldiers lose their lives. And those deaths coming amid increasing pressure on Israel to see the hostages set free. Former President Donald Trump looking to make
unfaced, unnamed,
today in the New Hampshire primary as President
dislocated hostages that nobody can verify who they are, where they are.
Campaign.
Gotta free them.
We're
gonna do World War till you free the hostages.
And the violence against Christians there. We're gonna bring you a first-hand look. All those stories and more ahead today, right here on CBN Newswatch.
This is CBN Newswatch.
I want to begin this half hour in Israel with the deadliest day for the military since the war began in Gaza, as a total of 24 Israeli soldiers lost their lives. That comes as Israel is facing increasing pressure to end the war and to free the hostages. Even so, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains firm in his conviction that Israelis will not stop the fighting until total victory is achieved. Here's
Shout out to Clausen, wherever you are.
Julie Stahl.
Good night, Mr. Clausen, wherever you are.
Tuesday to the news of one of the worst
I frankly
days
think that
of the war
crisis
in Gaza.
initiation is really
24 soldiers killed, most of them in an
very hard for me to see
explosion
how
that
the United
destroyed
States
2 buildings in the central Gaza Strip,
president
taking the
can
lives
get us to
of
war with
21
Iran.
reservists.
Which leads me to conclude that if, in fact, compromise is not coming, that the traditional way of America gets to war is what would be best for U.S. interests. Some people might think that Mr. Roosevelt wanted to get us into World War II, as David mentioned. You may recall we had to wait for Pearl Harbor. Some people might think Mr. Wilson wanted to get us into World War I. You may recall he had to wait for the Lusitania episode. Some people might think that Mr. Johnson wanted to send troops to Vietnam. You may recall they had to wait for the Gulf of Tonkin episode. We didn't go to war with Spain until the until the Maine exploded. And may I point out that Mr. Lincoln did not feel he could call out the Federal Army until Fort Sumter was attacked, which is why he ordered the commander at Fort Sumter to do exactly that thing which the South Carolinians had said would cause an attack. So if, in fact, the Iranians aren't going to compromise, it would be best if somebody else started the war. One can combine other means of pressure with sanctions. I mentioned that explosion on August 17th. We could step up the pressure. I mean, look, people, Iranian submarines periodically go down. Someday one of them might not come up. Who would know why? We can do a variety of things if we wish to increase the pressure. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just suggesting that this is not a either-or proposition. Of, it's just sanctions has to succeed or other things. We are in the game of using covert means against the Iranians.
The solution for sustainable.
We could get nastier at that.
That ensures security, not only
Right.
by military means.
So there's Clausen over 10 years ago, Israeli lobbyists saying, we really want to get into a war with Iran. We don't know how we're going to do it. Some folks might say every other president in history has gotten us to all the major wars by either allowing something to happen or making it happen. So again, when they show you and tell you who and what they are, believe them. None of this is an accident. None of this is a coincidence. It's obvious. It's all staged and set up. So you can take that little clip of Clausen. I don't give a fuck what the rest of you all got. Take that little clip of Clausen where he like looks around and he almost can't believe what he's going to say to an open room with cameras on him. Take that back to your mama, your papa, grandmom, all the rest of them in your household and your family, and have them explain it for me and others, right? It'd be very entertaining. I want to know what they think of the top Israeli lobbyists saying, we got to get to war with Iran. Let's sink a fucking submarine. Some folks might say, maybe it goes down, it doesn't come up. Who would know what would happen? We're in the game of covert means against the Iranians. We could get nastier at that. Some folks might say, he kept saying. That's where I picked up the some folks might say. Clausen has taught me and others very well. Thank you, Julian Barbary, for your contribution. He says, for always showing up. Thank you, sir. This is my version of Super Slave Chat because Google and YouTube and the rest of them get nothing any longer because they want to play games with my algorithm and my statistics, and they want to strike channels regularly. They can SMDIP. You know what that stands for, right? It's a family broadcast. Appreciate you and all you do, sir. Jimmy Shively says, thank you, Mr. Shively. Hopefully you're doing well. Faithfully you're doing well, convalescing as it were. Of course, Mr. Shively experiencing some health challenges, but haven't we all, and aren't we all going to, I'm sure. You're pointing there, Penal Power, you're pointing there. Were you pointing at the 6-pointed star of Shaitan, or what was it? I don't know what you're doing, and that's annoying me. That's kind of annoying to me, I gotta tell you. All right, let's move on. Elon Musk plans to revolutionize online pay. So here's your social credit system taking shape. Here's the guy with Alex Jones and all the rest who's going to save you and take you to Mars. He now owns Twitter, apparently, and they renamed it X. And they're introducing digitized payment system as if we didn't know. While they simultaneously short the Bitcoin market and do market manipulation, because Bitcoin just dropped a good 10, 20% overnight. And most folks' portfolios now out 20%. So they're going to lose their minds because they got to shake you up and shake you out of the market, and they got to get that price down low so they can rebuy up and get ready for that halving in 3 months. They know how to game you right after the ETF. Everybody thought it was going to go crazy. No, they accepted the ETF. They ran up the news. They got you all invested. They cut it down 20, 30%. They're going to shake a whole bunch of people out, buy back in, and then it's going to double, triple after the halving, barring some black swan event, which they may pull out of their back pocket just in time, because that would just be great, right? And then you have to chalk it up to the game at that point. Okay, let's go to that. Elon revolutionizing online pay. We didn't see any of this coming. And I'm sure it's all going to be great for like the people, as all the markets are down in the shot today again. Once again, all red arrow, stock market, all the rest of it. Silver dropped a good 10, 20%. No, not 10%. Excuse me. 1%, 2%, 10% over the month, I would say. 1 to 2% the last few days.
Elon Musk revealing his plans to revolutionize payments. All right, Ashley, can you explain exactly what he's doing?
He likes to use that term revolutionize, and this term revolutionize payments on his
Market
platforms
manipulators,
this
they love
year,
it.
He says, confirming rumors basically of a plot to replace PayPal. You're talking about Bitcoin. Musk has confirmed that SpaceX owns a bunch of Bitcoin and that he still owns a lot of Bitcoin rival Dogecoin, if you remember, a cryptocurrency that Musk once said he wanted to make the currency of the earth. But now Musk has reiterated plans to compete with the likes of PayPal, Visa, even banks by offering products and services that will, quote, reshape how we connect, communicate, and transact. Musk was just granted a money transmitter license.
Elon, I didn't know you cared.
That is the 15th U.S. state to okay his company plans to offer payments. It's fascinating, isn't it? No matter what you say, Elon Musk is the king of disruptors, Stu.
You should read that book about him. The new
Elon.
one. It's an excellent.
Everyone loves Elon.
He is the disruptor in chief and a revolutionary.
Elon's our hero.
All right, Ash, thanks so much indeed.
Elon's like our genius. He's our hero. He's like well hung. Okay, he's got like new hair. He used to be bald. Now he's got a full head of hair. Fucking man's like magical. He's mysterious. He's miraculous. He's all the things. He's gonna take you to Mars and start a whole new civilization. You ready for that, penile power? You ready to go to Mars? Huh, boy? Yeah? You ready to go with Alex and Andy and Elon? Restart that civilization, huh? What do you look at? That's through the looking glass? Is that how you greet Elon and Andy and Alex? Right. He's putting his hater blockers on, right? That's what that is. I got my hater blockers on. Yeah, they're gonna take you for a ride, huh? Not only to Mars, but your finances, your rights, your freedom, your principles, your spiritual faith. They can take you on a ride of the lifetime. You know, little Baphomet creature. Remember when he popped out at Halloween with the Baphomet creature on his chest? And I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Because it's like, I know what that sign and symbol stands for. I might want to like Pimpin' Mac and Trigger too. But if you're going to be that guy and step out in faith and actually lead, probably not a good idea to show up at Halloween with the one symbol everyone knows the pogo death cult for, if you want to call it that. I'm using Snafu's lingo. I could have used the other lingo, the other nomenclature, you know, the other P word, right? They're pushing P. So, you know, probably not the best optics, right? Right, Snafu creature. If you're going to be Elon and save the world, probably not the best optics to buy a $4,000 Baphomet costume for Hollywood and go on social media.
Probably. I think they're gonna have to get some fucking tractors or something. You see all these France and all these farmers dumping manure on the government buildings and shit, straight up using the sprayers. And
where is that? France, you said?
Yeah, all that, like the thousands of farmers revolting out in Europe and shit. Now they're fucking taking the tractors with manure and straight up spraying the fucking government buildings and shit. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean,
showed
again,
you that one where they're putting hell bells or hay bells. I mean, in the freeway, blocking the freeways. You know,
no, Hell's bells was rather appropriate, whether you know it or not. You have a way with words, even when you don't. So
yeah,
it's more like Hell's bells, right? This is the signaling of the times that we're in. These folks have created a hell on earth, so we're sounding the bell, right? For whom the bell tolls.
Do I have a feedback now? Am I good?
What now?
Am I all right now? I had feedback before.
Oh, I mean, are you all right?
I mean,
Spider, you all right?
I'm a
Spider,
lefty,
you all right
but-
or what? No, you ain't all right. You're vacuuming. You don't bring me a drink here. Go get me a fucking drink, Spider. Fucking penile power, man. What am I gonna do with you, bro? What am I gonna do with you?
No, but I want to know what you make out of this, right? I might say it a lot, but to me, it's like, what does it mean? To me, I tie it back to Neuralink, but Elon Reeve Musk, right? Keanu Reeves, Christopher Reeves. A Reeve is a copper coil, right? Christopher Reeve was Superman. Elon Reeve Musk, of course, considered a Superman.
There he is. There's penile power.
Hell no. Hell no. I'm not. Doesn't that guy end up getting killed?
you'll walk like fucking Step and Fetch. Everybody else, you'll fucking run. Run for me, you prick. Dance. Dance the fucking drink back here. Hello, prick. Hey, what's that movie that Bogart made?
Which one?
Doesn't that guy end up getting killed? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on a true story as well. They found him under the club. The cops were coming searching for him. They were stepping on him and didn't know it. He was right under the floorboards.
Good Lord. You know, Joe Pesci's one of the only ones still.
You don't insult Tommy, man. You don't try to play Tommy. You just stay away from him.
If you're still on the breaking news shit, it's worth mentioning, even if it's the political puppet optics. You know, the whole thing is trending right now with the whole treason thing because of what the National Guard versus the feds is going on, and then it went to Supreme Court.
There's Henry down there. Quiet, Snafu. Henry, the producer, you fucking mumbling, stuttering prick, you. Get up here. Yeah, I knew you would fold with that Laguna creature.
I'll make you feel more comfortable. Hold on.
Yeah, I knew he'd fold. Henry. You son of a bitch, you. Get up here. We got a party. Billy's coming over. Free drinks for everybody.
Now you
Drinks
can feel
on
more
the house,
comfortable.
Henry. Drinks are on the house, Henry and Billy.
I'm trying to
Go
make
ahead,
you feel
Snafu
comfortable, Daddy.
creature.
Look,
Yeah,
you'll feel more
Henry.
comfortable.
Go ahead. What were you saying there, creature?
He's gonna feel more comfortable. Laguna Fish is here.
Oh, yeah? I want to know from Henry, the producer, if her pussy smells. And I know it's a family broadcast, but he was in there. He had firsthand access, and I want to know how good my readings are. Like when I read people, you could say whatever, but we're all adults. We all like have an animal component. You know, we all have a pheromonal component. Go ahead, Henry, the producer. Quiet, Snafu Snaps. Henry, the producer, is here. Jesus, show some fucking respect.
I also
Henry,
want to ask him if
please.
she articulated
God,
something
oh my
different.
God, you gotta go. You gotta go. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that, and you know better. Henry, was there any odor down there? Just keep it all the way funky with us. We have to know. The people have to know. We suspect there was.
How's it going, Paul?
We're doing well here, Henry. You know that. We're blessed. We're over here now. I know you're over there. We're over here. Was there an odor down there? Yes or no, sir? When it comes to Laguna creature, people want to know. Keep asking.
What do you want to know? Ask me whatever you want.
Was there an odor down below with the Laguna creature? I just asked you 3 times.
That sounds like something a school child would say. What?
That's a yes.
In English.
Okay, let's move forward. Because see, when it's a no, it's just a no. No, of course not. There's nothing down there. When it's
Hey,
something
Henry.
a school child would say, it's you don't want to answer because you know it's a yes. So I figured that was the case. You don't have to answer. I know you're a very classy man, but that's enough for me. That's all I need to hear. Go ahead, Snafu Snaps.
Did she have a pixelated bush or was she shaved with the smell coming out? We know she smells now.
See, this is the thing Henry doesn't understand either, is women like that purposely seek out men who they see as weak. I'm not saying he's weak. I'm saying she views him as safe and weak, and that's why it never usually works out. Because he's just a little bit too nice, a little bit too kind, a little too polite, a little bit too classy for his own good, right? This is just what I've learned in my life. Nice guys finish last. So that's why she was always drawn back here to me, because I'm the opposite of all that. I'm like the shadow of that self. I'm like the one mama always warned you about. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you make of that what you will. I've learned enough in my life to see the dynamics for what it is. There's daddy, and then there's everybody else. And I'm not demeaning you, sir. I'm just saying what I've learned in my life and the energy that I carry and the presentment that I have, what it calls in and what it repels. And for what reasons at different times.
Are you going to answer my question now, Henry, the producer?
You don't actually have to you don't have to answer anyone's questions, obviously, but you don't really have to answer the warthog creature unless you want to. If you're open to it.
I'll answer ones with merit. I mean, I've never been more than 9,000 miles.
Okay, I got a merit
near
question.
Mongolia, so.
I got a question, Merit. So she went from YouTube lawyer to YouTube whore. What are your comments on that?
Okay, I'll be as forgiving as I can, trying to understand your question. So she was interested in social media and being famous, and I was interested in making good content on YouTube. So for me, that
Fair to
meant
say,
Law and
that's
Order,
fair enough.
that meant documentaries. It meant investigating. It meant interviews. Mainly Law and Order, though. That was our good show that we had going. And she just wanted to do social media and get clicks on TikTok. So we parted ways basically on that basis.
Right. I mean, I'm not even going to really dig into the whole. It really never concerned you, right? Like, I never really got any negative energy, or I never really had any issues with you. You know, I never really had any issues with her either. She seemed to have issues with me, the way that I live and what I speak. But yeah, there was so much disingenuous resentment there, just so much like fake hate with something underneath it. Because, you know, again, every woman, just like every man, spirit and soul cries out for the real, the authentic, the true, the eternal, the strong, the empowered, the inspiring, all the rest of it. And then there's everything else. So it's probably just as well that you parted ways with her, because until she can reconcile to a place where she's her truest and best self, you seem like you're on a different kind of trajectory. Probably more into the creative aspect of the whole thing rather than just wanting to be famous.
You're very lucky you didn't produce a fucking
Snafu creature, please don't make me throw you out when I'm talking to someone. This is Henry right now. I'm speaking to him and he's going to answer me back. That's how usually a conversation goes. Henry, your thoughts?
The engagement that we had with the Law and Order format was insanely high. So that was like, we were just hoovering up subscribers when we did that. And it was just obvious that was the way that we should go. And yeah, maybe she was just allured by, you know, Destiny and these huge YouTubers and her chance to make a name for herself.
Right. Then they become part of someone else's vision. And that's always the way. That's why I haven't been able to work with a lot of other folks, because they get other people in the room in the conversation based on what I'm doing. And they get these grand ideas and ideals about what it's going to be, when most often than not, folks in that position are just looking for their next expose and their next piece of content. And they're going to use you to remix it. So again, she can't get out of her own way. It's probably not your fault. Like you said, she's egoically inclined and motivated, and that's going to get her tricking herself out of her position and power oftentimes, right? Because there's no separation between myself, Lauren, and the rest of us. We're all one self on the highest level. On the lowest level, we have perception and choice. And that's always where the disconnect and the misunderstanding is found. So, you know, you wish them well, you know, be blessed on your journey. You're going to learn at some point. You know, and hey, maybe she has an idea or an understanding the rest of us don't have. I leave it open to be incorrect. But, you know, when you see so many coincidences in this game of conscious and awareness, and you see people show up the way they do consistently, motivated the way they are, you pretty much know where they're going to be and what they're going to get. You know, you see the move. So yeah, fresh and fit, all the rest of it. I got the report because I don't watch these people and keep up on what they do, but I get the reports. Oh, this one's here, this one's there. And you know what they're doing, clout chasing, just like what they were doing here. And yeah, I try to always say to them, you know, authentic conversation at this point rules the nation. That is where your inspiration and empowerment is. Don't get tricked out of position trying to seek clout and today's currency of numbers and attention. Right? Seek to be a better person and serve the public or the audience with something that is informative and or entertaining. Probably your best bet. Your thoughts on any of that, Henry?
I agree. Yeah, I think Lauren's beef with you was probably the fact that she did a lot of interviews with the First Amendment auditor community, and she did a lot of interviews with people who had like alternative views of how the world should be run, and she kind of saw you as the like one of the bigger fish that she wanted to get for a proper interview. But I don't think because she never got that, I think that was where her frustration lay.
Bro, she was a jealous fucking hoe online.
If that's the case, hey, leave it alone, bro. You see, you're 20 minutes back or never in the conversation at all, and this is part of the problem. I don't need that energy right now. That's not where we're at in the conversation. So, I don't doubt it was a great source of frustration to her. While she would never admit it, you were behind the scenes, so you would know better than anybody. I didn't need to be behind the scenes because I can read people when they show up, and I can read patterns. You wouldn't show up that often if you weren't intrigued and inspired, and frustrated if you didn't get what you wanted. So again, there's a way to come at me and deal with me where everybody can get what they want, better yet, what they need. If you don't wind up getting what you want with me, you're going to get what you need anyway. So yeah, man, I'm open for reconciliation and resolution with anybody. I'm open to create content with anybody, but you got to come correct, and you got to get out of that ego and pride, and you got to stop the manipulation, the deception, and the competition. Woman can't compete with man to begin with. It's not what you're here to do. You're here to support man in his endeavors, in truth and righteousness. So once we stop the competition, we can begin the co-creation, right? It's the same way in the home. We can't have men and women who meet together on the same ground. They're too busy competing with each other when they're not here for that. We're here to co-create, not compete. That's why you got a lot of men and women hating men and women at this point, the opposite sex, because they think they're here to compete in the marketplace. That's not what we're here for. Figure out who and what you are as a being first and foremost, and then let that translate to the marketplace. Be way better off. Snafu Snaps, you were saying?
I'm just saying the optics spoke for herself, because Henry, I've never had a problem with you either, but she came after me and crew too. She came after Paul, and all she did, again, she was trying to be this lawyer, acting like she was smart and shit. And then we all saw the transition of just the clout, the money, the whatever. She was jealous. She was jealous of anyone coming up, and she presented herself as a hoe. She knew there's money and tits and fucking showing it, and just
right. But you've done all the same things and more that Lauren has done concerning me and others. So we can't do a campaign on her right now and try to convict her when everybody's done that on some level when it pertains to me and others.
Fully honest with, I don't know if it's just he's trying to give her good clout or good, word
he's
here.
Not. That's the thing. He's not. You're so bizarre and off the mark. You don't even understand what I'm doing right now and what the truth is. And he's performing perfectly because he's being equitable. He's speaking truth. He's not engaging in low level, below the belt or blue collar humor or conviction. So it's giving more gravitas to whatever he says. And he just said he agreed with me on all levels. Why are you muddying the waters and poisoning the well as you do so often and so graciously?
Well, I guess I saw something different than you saw out of Henry when he spoke.
No, you felt something different than what I saw because you got your feelers invested in a conversation where the feelers don't belong. We're here for the truth using discernment. It doesn't require feelings. If you want to summon a feeling, try summoning a feeling of objective love and care for this being. Do you want to see Lauren Laguna harm herself? Do you want to see her go on alcohol and drugs? Do you want to see her hoed out and tricked out and turned into more of a Jezebel harlot whore that I called her the first day? Not because she was sucking dick for pay, because it's the energy of the beast system in feminine form. Okay. And she still hasn't to this day understood what the fuck I meant spiritually, conceptually, with conscious and awareness. So do you really care about people? Do you really care about the truth? Are you really going to walk in a Christ-like way and try to bring these people back to themselves if you're able and forgive them for what they know not that they've done to myself and others? Or are you going to be just like them and worse? That's my question for you, Snafu Snaps, day in and day out at this point, because you know better and you can do better and you keep accepting less for yourself and everyone else, including the audience. Your thoughts, Henry, on any of that, if you have any?
What do you see for your channel?
You're looking at it.
You're just doing you.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how I wanted to come into this. I realized that doing the live panel was a way for me to break out of legal and lawful. I didn't want to be pigeonholed. So I figured however long it takes me, I'm going to build up a core audience of people who just check on me to hear my thoughts for the day. Whether it's breaking news, body cam footage, conscious and awareness, men and women, whatever is in my mind and heart for that day, that's what they're going to hear. If they're not into that, well, they can go somewhere else. I didn't want to cultivate an audience that was disingenuous, right? So, I've had plenty of people in this game hit me up and go, where do you see your channel going? I go, you're looking at it. What makes you think that I have to do anything more than I'm already doing or have done? It's served me well in various ways, and it gives me an immense opportunity to just be myself and be creative. I'll take it wherever I want to take it. So maybe what you're asking is, where do I see myself taking it? Besides this, fireside chat, if you will, traveling videos, videos about various pieces of property. I had brought some stuff up today about silver, showing the audience about how to invest in times like this, what type of silver to buy, why they would buy it from a person who is involved in that, who seems to be reputable. It's basically just about sharing all the aspects of self with the audience and with others so that we can all come to an understanding of who and what we are and what we're becoming, and then compare that to who and what we've been. So it's basically like a Truman Show, right? I just kind of turn the camera on. It's me and whatever I'm saying or doing at the time. And then going forward in life, the more that I get on the land and self-sufficient and sustainable, the more that I generate value, the more that I'm going to be doing more things and involving the audience in more things. So that's just a natural progression of life and a natural story of a being, right? On a journey. And we've come a long way in different senses already from the beginning. So, yeah, that's pretty much my answer to that, I guess.
Cool. It was weird taking time out of, I mean, there were a lot of things about Lauren creatively that I really vibed with. She's really good at trying new ideas. She's good at brainstorming. She's extremely creative. And I think that part of the relationship worked really well. I'm sure she's going to do something like really cool in the future at some point, whether it's 10 years time working for a news channel, whether it's, I don't know, going to North Korea or something crazy. She'll do something really cool at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, bro.
But,
Like when I meet everybody,
being away from all that.
Yeah, we got a little bit of lag there. That's my mistake. But I see potential in everybody, man. And I'm sure that there's great things and potentiality in store for her. But of course, like all of us, she's going to have to rein in aspects of self or understand them more and direct them better. If that makes sense. Go ahead.
Yeah. But it was interesting being away from the whole world of YouTube for a few months. And then I got back in touch with Talcott a month or so ago and just shot the breeze with him for a while. And, it's interesting to see how people are evolving and trying to grow channels or trying to find their groove. And it was frustrating because with Lauren, we had found like the secret sauce of our channel that we were digging around for 9 months. We had found that show, that format. And then that's when things spiraled out of control.
Right. So then this is the deal, right, Henry? You got to know like when to cut bait, so to speak, and you got to know who's meant for what at what time. So you seem, again, very equitable and very sensible, and able to kind of see what could be versus what is, at least after a time. So, dude, I mean, there's what's meant for us, and then there's what we do with it. She was showing up here because I'm sure that if you add me to whatever you're doing, it gets a little bit more interesting, if not better. So in a perfect world, me, you, and her, we'd be doing whatever that Law and Order thing was. I didn't see it. But if you're telling me it's good, well, I hop in there and I get in where I fit in and we make it a little bit better. But we can never do that, what you find with a lot of these people on here, because they can't get their pride and ego and confusion out of the way. They're too caught up, right? They can't just do the content and be creative and then leave it where it's at and then use it as an explorational tool. They get too bent out of shape, too caught up in what they want and expectations. And then when they don't get that, they go to switching up, right? And that's why I say, I do what I do beyond just the content, non-tent, right? This is a self idea in everything I do. So, hey, man, you go get another broad who can hack it, and walk the line. And then we show up every day and we do what we do. There's 1,000 Lauren De Lagunas out there, and there's 999 of them who are willing to do what it takes to be something in this life, to entertain an audience, to have an interesting conversation. And maybe if some value shows up, be thankful and grateful, not selfish and greedy and lustful, right? It's going to be about you as a quote unquote producer getting out of your box and scouting for talent. And I could say the same thing about myself, getting more active in different fields, pulling people from other broadcasts, if that's the case, offering them an opportunity and seeing where it goes. And you got to try shit, bro. It may take 10 of them before you, as you say, hit the secret sauce again. And this time it may be even better if we work in me and another component. I'm about it, man. I'm about it first and foremost in whatever I do. As long as I'm into it and I'm entertained and there's some good information and the folks are getting value, I'm guy number one, bro. I'll work with anybody if they'll work with themselves properly and me.
Cool. What are you
That's
smoking?
where it's going. You
Is that
asked
a
me where it's
cigarillo?
going. You asked me where it's going. At some point, me and Jennifer are going to have a 2-woman situation, and we're going to have conversations on here of what quote unquote polyamory is like, because we've already been exploring that, and we've had a lot of clarity and presence come about, and peace and understanding, and a new level of kind of trust and bond as friends first. And I think there's a lot of value there when it comes to conversation and content. And the majority of it non-visual. Obviously, there's a visual component. Seeing my big gorilla ass and 2 women, it's going to drive them crazy. We know the deal, but it's authentic to me, right? It's organic to me. It's a pursuit that I've been on to know myself and honor my nature, and call in women who can support and or accept me for who and what I am, and not be a cult member, and also not be I don't need a man, egoic challenge to me. As if any man really wants a woman or women or even men in their life who are constantly a problem and something that have to be dealt with, rather than a source of inspiration and support and fellowship in truth. So that's where it's at, man. That's where the content is always going to be, as far as I can tell, centric for me, is actual growth and development, authentic experience, and understanding oneself and what it means to be a man or a woman at this time or any time. And of course, the sexual component to that sells, like they say.
Did you see Melanie Moran's comment? Did he say polyamory, like P-A-U-L-Y?
Yeah, there's polyamory and there's polyamory, just like there's politics, policy enforcement. There's a whole litany of folks who embody these positions metaversally, right? So I have my own policy enforcement division. I have political informants who keep me abreast of various movements of folks who have made themselves enemies of myself, and more importantly, the truth. So yeah,
these puns are
polycentric uniball inverse online.
Nice.
Thanks. Nice. Yes, nice. Why, thank
it's
you.
all appalling. It's all appalling.
Henry, when are you going to where are you from, bro? When are you going to put me up? I've been to England before, man. I wouldn't mind traveling again. I've been in that. I had that bug lately. I want to travel, and I must wanting to self-sabotage, because I can't imagine leaving here and going to a foreign country where they're going to slave us up. But I can't live in fear, right? You got to get out of the box. You got to have more experiences, see the world, what it has to offer.
I'm from London, but I live in Edinburgh. So that's 4 hours on a train from London in Scotland.
That sounds delightful, right? Just a quick trip to Edinburgh, get my head straight, hang out in the fucking corn maze of bushes, hear everybody just kind of be more polite and peaceful. Chip, chip, cheerio, the whole thing. Yeah, it sounds nice, man.
Yeah, I don't want to hijack your broadcast, so I'm going to drop off.
You're not hijacking. You're a great addition to it right now. Read the room, man. I'm enjoying this.
Fair enough.
See how easy it is to see how easy it is to deal with UK people? It's just that easy to deal with them. It's never a problem.
For the record, I'm not looking for another Lauren to produce. I'm sort of overstretched at the moment with creative projects. So yeah.
Wow, you got people already emailing you from the chat?
No, I was at an investment course where you get businesses ready for investment, and I met this lady who had a musical in Australia. She sold out the Sydney Opera House 3 times. Their company made like 4 million Australian dollars, and they brought it to the UK, and they had a sellout tour before COVID. She wants to get it started again, but before that, we're still making a documentary with some wonderful people we met while doing Lauren's channel. So when I left Lauren's channel, the people we were making a documentary with, they wanted to obviously keep working and get their word out. So I'm still working with them.
Well, when I get my first Bitcoin million, and I'm really have come up in this game at some point, when I've finally arrived, whenever the spirit decides that is, it could have already happened. Right? We're already late to the game, but I see us making a documentary about me, and the whole white gorilla story. Right? Whenever that's apparent to you and others you work with, that is something.
No, I think
wrong.
I think your skill set is live.
I agree with you.
I don't think.
I do think, though, I have an interesting story that, if told a certain way, could be compelling and relatable for whatever that's worth, but that's subjective as well, obviously.
So what's compelling about your story that isn't similar to a lot of other people?
Well, that's precisely what is compelling about my story, is it's similar to a lot of other people, and based on what life has thrown at me, pretty much what I've done with it versus what they've told me I should do with it. It's an underdog story, right? It's not like it hadn't been told before. And again, it's far from over, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, I think when it comes to the courts, the drugs, the addiction, the broken home, you know, the judgment at birth of me and my mother supposed to be dying together. I just think that if you look at the story and you tell it a certain way, it can be inspiring and empowering and motivating and relatable, right? It's not that it's so special and unique. Again, that's not where the charm of it is, or the inspiration of it is. It's precisely because it is relatable and it's the everyman story in the modern day world to a degree, right? And then you have kind of a piece where, for me, knowing what I knew about me and what I've seen in my life has changed, and a whole bunch of other things come about that I didn't think was possible. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, again, choosing to see it not only as it is, but as a source of inspiration for myself and others.
So most people live pretty buttoned down lives, and you know, they have to do certain things to put food on the table. But I think with your channel, they see somebody navigating different areas of life in an alternative way, whether it's, I don't know, investing in silver, or growing something, or, you know, having 2 women, or just doing something in a very alternative way.
Traveling too, right? Traveling without the license,
Yeah, right.
registration, insurance, and plates. There's a whole bunch of aspects to me that are unconventional.
Exactly. So it allows people to explore how they could otherwise live their life without actually, you know, pulling apart their job and their family and their quiet picket fence lives. So that's like the allure of watching your live channel, is that you're going through all this stuff and people can kind of see how you go through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the rap that was given to me when one of the beings invited me onto their broadcast. They titled it "Living Outside the Laws of Man." I wouldn't, you know, you could look at it that way, because there's laws of God and laws of man, or laws of nature and laws of man. But yeah, it's living outside the customs of the modern day man, which I contend is our greatest source of power and inspiration. Because conformity to the collectivism at this time is a mechanism for disempowerment, and a broken spirit, right? Inspiration just means in spirit. So lack of spirit is lack of inspiration. That's just how I perceive of it, and that's how I live. And I've seen a lot of results with other folks who have brought themselves to this perception and perspective and done something with it, whatever it appeals to them to do. And there's nothing new under the sun, right? As much as we strive for individuality in a sense, or self-identification, we understand that there really is only one self, and there really is only one truth and one way of living from the beginning of time. The rest of it is just culturally and societally appropriated, you know, based on the times. But the core understanding and a core way of beingness that does not change is spoken about from the beginning. Nonconformist, right? It's no masters, no slaves. It's self-governance. It's unification with Holy Spirit, using conscience to direct one's vitality, right? So we don't get ourselves and each other in too much trouble. Just enough trouble to make it interesting for those who want to keep everyone safe, right?
You mentioned Bitcoin. Is that something you gravitate towards?
Well, I think that all life's a gamble. I think all these markets are gambled, and I think all these markets are manipulated. So you're kind of picking the best of a bad lot. And with that said, Bitcoin could very well, I perceive, probably is long term a setup for failure. But I think to the short and midterm, this represents a sea change and potentially an opportunity for a lot of upside for folks who can become financially more independent using these markets as tools. But yeah, I don't. When you say gravitate toward it, I just became aware of the market and I became aware that there's a lot of volatility, and with volatility comes upside if you buy in with a bear market and you sell mid bull market. It's just an opportunity to take value and make more value out of it, and basically funnel value out of the hands of a bunch of technocratic slaves and into the hands of folks who want to use it for hard assets on the ground and grow a community. So it's just a tool like anything else. And again, you're making bets. You know, I'd rather bet on Bitcoin going up when it has a habit of going up. Every time there's a halving, it doubles and triples. Well, we got one of those in 2 months. So the chart shows every time we get one of those, it doubles and triples. Number go up. So if you're going to gamble in any one of these markets to turn some value into more value, that's a place to do it. Where does it go long term? Digitized credit system and digital slavery, as far as I can perceive. But hey, we're already in that, right? It's called the US dollar, private Federal Reserve System, printed ad nauseum, backed by nothing. It's AI, artificial intelligence. It's a false overlay. There is no value actually there.
So you see it as like a kind of, you don't have that philosophical warmth with Bitcoin that others might. You just see it as like a means to extract value from the network and then use it to buy hard assets.
Yeah, I mean, again, the masters taught everybody in a sense. You really do have to start to look at life as what value are you giving and what value are you getting in some way. Because yeah, if not, you'll emotionally invest, and that will be detrimental. So yeah, I don't put my feelers into it. I don't get my feelers involved. I don't look at Bitcoin or politics or anything else other than a system, a tool, or a mechanism. And then it's about what you do with that and what's the end result. So yeah, I have no emotional investment in Bitcoin or really anything else in that way. I don't think that it benefits one too. The facts of the matter are either clear or they're not. If they're pretty clear, then you're taking a calculated risk. And that's pretty much anybody who wants to be successful or financially free or independent, whether it's turning on a camera and talking or gambling in a market. You got to take calculated risks to get somewhere else than where you've been. So that's all it is. Just a tool, like you said, to extract value out of a market full of technocratic dunces who think that technology is going to save them from themselves. I think they're deceived. I think that value would be way better off put back on the land, developing communities from the ground up and developing lifestyles and way of living that are beneficial to self and others. But hey, that's just me.
Can I challenge you a bit on that?
Absolutely.
So, the whole Bitcoin thing, it's really a pre-programmed set of instructions, and the thing that gives it value is that if you look at the characteristics of money, there's maybe 6 or 7 of them. So whether something's divisible, fungible, you know, how easy is it to send it to someone? How easy can you chop it up? How long can it endure? So gold endures for many thousands of years. Currency that can be printed by government loses its value very quickly, so it doesn't exist for very long before being inflated away. But Bitcoin is pre-programmed, and the only way that it operates is by the use of electrical energy. So it's the work that it's backed by electrical energy, effectively. So if you're using a system like gold or fiat currency, it only really satisfies some of the properties of money. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin, it satisfies all of them perfectly.
Now, Henry, just to be clear, I'm not denying that you know more about the technology of this asset than I do. I've made that clear from the beginning. What I contend and what makes this thing so valuable is one conversation. What makes the valuable useful is the usage case of the slaves, in quotes. The problem is going to be we have gold and silver now. Most of the slaves don't trade in hard, lawful money that has secured itself from the beginning of time. They choose to trade in paper currency. So again, as the mind and heart goes, the man follows. I don't believe that a sound money system that will free folks from a planned and programmed slavery system is going to be accepted by said enslavers. I think that it will be pushed and marketed for a time. I think a bunch of people will buy in and profit. I think when the dust clears, they're going to have 2 or 3 other currencies they're going to be pushing and giving out and using everywhere. And that'll be the end for Bitcoin on a mass scale level, right? Because doesn't matter how good it is, doesn't matter who's into it. If the mass public on a mass scale is not encouraged to and set up with a system to use it, you will be using whatever we were given as a default to use by PayPal, by Google, by Elon, and all the rest of them. And I'm not willing to believe all of them are going to go with the soundest choice for money. They're going to go with the same replication of the US dollar in a digitized form. And forgive me if I'm projecting onto folks who seem to have our best interest in mind, but I just see this all as planned and gamed and organized, and it's like decades ahead of its time.
See, I look at this whole value system in another light, if you might add. Everything should be done in his good works, and none of that value you see today is in that, but that seems to be the system that everybody's chasing the buck in. I mean,
again, this is pretty simple common sense. Did you build your house? Did you put the toilet together? Did you do all that? Or did you go buy it? If the answer is you went and bought it, well, then you're going to have to get some medium of exchange in a world for what you do otherworldly value-wise. I mean, it's not like I don't have experience with that. So you don't have to chase the money to live for the truth and have value show up. And then what are you going to do with it, right? Because again, it'd be hypocritical to say that we should just do whatever we do and not get any currency or medium of exchange for value, and then also not build and create and fix everything around us. Because the economy in the world doesn't work like that. And there's really no point in talking about what doesn't exist. So you pretty much already have a choice. You can go live in the middle of nowhere. You can build or create everything you're going to get and fix it yourself. Or you can use a medium of exchange to exchange for value and products other people have created or are servicing for your convenience, which isn't necessarily a bad or evil thing. There's nothing inherently bad or evil or wrong about folks figuring out a way in life to do the best they can, and so much so that other people reward them with value because they're an asset to themselves and the family and the community and whatever that force is you want to call God. Right? There's nothing inherently evil and wrong about somebody who's a preacher or pastor who motivates and inspires and helps others with conversation and perspective if folks want to give value back on their own accord, as long as it's not necessarily expected. Right? It's like just good faith and trust and equity. But,
right.
You don't have to demonize a monetary system to understand that folks have become demonic in their inspiration and motivation to chase money and pussy rather than success and status within themselves and within a community.
But we also don't want to come stagnant to that, only that system.
There is no way.
Well, it's almost like the doctors. They're not going to give you, the cure. So, you know what I mean? It's the same loop. I mean, I've just taken a road to go all the way back to where I've learned from my mistakes and held certain things valuable to my heart and where I'm at now, and changed and started going forward in a whole nother light, with respect and honor, which is what builds all this trust that the world needs. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Shit, fuck. I don't know. I'm just trying to do the right thing.
I always try to see the the gray area, the middle ground, because we do this extremism from both sides of the equation. There's nothing stopping people from doing good works and godly and righteous things and seeking that way and living that way. And then when blessings and value shows up, be thankful and grateful. You act as if God's people don't want motherfuckers to be rich inside and out. I don't understand this. I don't understand this perspective of worldly folks who claim to be otherworldly, who say all the evil, bad people here should have all the riches and value. It doesn't make any sense. If you're doing good and you're constantly helping others and changing lives and doing good works, wouldn't it make sense you'd have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 houses? Because there's people out there who've started businesses and worked their whole life and they got 2, 3 houses and they're going to give one to somebody who they see has taken them into their house of God, so to speak. I don't understand why it is that we continue with this loser failure, self-limiting thinking that doesn't serve us.
I think at some point we gotta look back on how what the system was built on, and whether that value,
I don't see that.
is held in the right hands or not.
I just don't see that. I don't see that. Even as we sit here right now, there's false money in everybody's pocket. It's okay. That's why there is no we, because I have my perspective and it's served me well more and more as I go on. And then there's other people who say we, but we don't align or agree on perspective and what needs to be done or embodied. I just don't, I don't know what else to say to that. How could there be a we when we can't achieve an understanding of good and evil or go beyond it in order to reconcile what is?
Well, right, but
it's a feeling-based argument.
Right, but whose description?
Are you using money this month, sir? What we call money? Are you using the fucking fiat debt notes?
Well, of course, Paul. I think you're
okay.
You're
So then, why are we talking about something other than what is? Why? Why are we mentally masturbating here today? For what?
Because I think it doesn't have to be that
godhood or status with God. Because we know now we're going to speak it. But what are you doing?
What do I do? I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the community. I'm calling out the people that are receivers of the public fund through the Federal Contribution Acts and fucking the world out of all their assets and resources. Okay. That's what I'm doing, bro. I'm just up here for conversations, trying to, for us to all come together in some sort of way.
How are we going to come together other than some lewd, crude act? How are we going to come together when we can't achieve an acceptance and understanding for what is?
Well,
because everybody has feelers about what they want and don't want.
But if it's not in us, who will? Wouldn't that be the real value? Everything's done in the way that God intended.
You keep supposing it has to be this or that instead of this and that.
Well, maybe it's both within the paperwork and all the systems.
Right. The gray area. The Tao is the middle way. The gray area between the yin and yang, the black and the white. So it's this and that.
So
if you live godly and righteous and you bring value to the community, value shows up in various ways. It might look like paper currency sometimes.
The same value on gold. Same value on anything. It's all on paper, ain't it?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going with this. Where are we going with this?
Well, we were all talking about this value and this bag that everybody wants to chase and everything. And I was just looking.
We weren't talking about chasing a bag because I don't do that. You must have been thinking about that while I was talking about something else.
No.
I don't chase money. I don't chase bags.
I didn't say you did.
If you zoom out far enough, then money is just energy, and it's not a thing that's been imposed on.
Here's the bottom line, right? Watch this, Henry. Do you have enough of everything you need in your life?
Yes.
No, I'm talking to Russell.
All right.
Does any of us have enough of what we need?
Yes, I have everything I need and then some at this time.
I think we can all use a little more love right now. So I'm not sure that
I'm not asking that. I'm asking you know what I'm asking.
Do I have all I need?
You know what I'm asking you.
I need a little more love in the world. Isn't that how we fulfill the law?
Now he needs a little more love when his fixation is about money, because you're usually fixated on what you need more of.
That is the wealth, isn't it?
You weren't talking love, you were talking money. So are we going to be real with ourselves and each other? We can bullshit now.
Well, I was talking money. Well,
you have what you need when it comes to physical value in your life right now.
You were talking Bitcoins and Federal
The
Reserve
answer is
notes.
no. And that's why you're fixated on money and want to demonize it. So you put yourself at odds with what you need to call in because you want to be self-righteous, and that's why you're doing without. And that's why all your evil masters have put themselves in alignment with that, and that's why they call it in. And they game you from one side of the room to the other.
I don't have no masters.
Okay. Who do you pay your bills to?
I don't pay bills. I pay the cell phone bill. That's it.
Okay. So you don't rent? You don't pay taxes? How do you live? Where do you live?
I had a job there. I run my own. Paul, don't you remember, brother?
No, I don't. If I remembered, I wouldn't be asking.
They deemed
Can I
me
ask where you
non-essential
live?
back
Who
in
do you live with?
COVID-19.
Can I ask where you live? Who do you live with?
All of this shit after COVID-19, and my wife
Can I
not on the
ask who you
same.
live with and where do you live?
Well, I don't need to. I'm a very
You don't
private
need
individual.
to. So you're not going to be honest and authentic with me because you're ashamed of your living
I'm
situation.
on Kentucky.
It's like one for one with everyone. I got to do analysis. I got to do
I'm with
reveal.
family.
I got to do therapist. I got to do counselor. I got to do financial advisor, but this isn't financial advice. And then I have to do administrator at court. And then I have to do.
No,
it's
we
just
don't need to do no
amazing.
administrator at court
It's
here because
amazing
I'm
and
not.
fascinating how they
I
think that I can't see and read. You think I
with
can't
all
see
due
and
respect,
read, huh?
brother. With all due respect,
It's not about that. I don't need. It's not
Maybe-
about respecting me. It's about respecting the truth, and you're not willing to do that.
Well, I think right
Hello?
now I've been respectful
Hello?
when you
I'm
haven't
done
been
with it.
respectful
I'm
to
done
me
with
to
the
give me a
bullshit.
chance
It's
to.
merry-go-round with everybody for the same
All right.
reasons that they don't
All
want to
right,
look
bro.
at when I
All
speak
right.
about it. I'm the asshole. I'm done.
right.
How are you, Rodney?
Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm blessed, sir.
I'm coming in a little better this time.
Potentially, we have to long game it, see where it goes.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I just had a quick question.
Go ahead, sir.
The skeleton, our skeletons. There's male and female skeletons in the humans, right? Just two? Pretty sure, right?
Okay. And we got
And-
Steve Martin here now as well, and I want to address him at some point. Good to see him back. Continue.
Is it safe to say that when a man walks and a woman walks, that we would have different walks by the skeleton?
You're saying there's a difference in the way we walk based on the structure of the skeleton?
Yes, that exactly.
Okay. I'll accept that.
All right. Just wanted to make sure that I was.
Yeah, I mean,
Right
there's
on.
an obvious difference in the formation of the bones and the posture. I mean,
Paul,
you
your
know.
expressions are fucking hilarious right now. Just looking
Well,
at
I
these
mean,
guys.
you know, yeah, like he's like, I don't have to go dig up Lucy from the Arctic to presume that there's a different bone structure and posture there for various reasons, one of which would be childbirth. And then, you know, obviously defense of oneself and the community, right? A man's going to have a different
should ask him
makeup
if-
and structure.
We should ask him if gorilla skeletons walk different than ape skeletons, Rodney. I mean,
Okay,
you know, when
please
you-
give me a break
All
here.
right,
Steve,
I'm
what's going on, man? We haven't seen you a bit. What do you got to report? Steven? All right, he might be having some internet issues. Steve, you can hear me. Check your situation. I guess get it right, and then there we go.
Yeah, I can.
I'm muted. Okay. What do you got to
Hey,
report,
Mr.
man? It's good to
Steve.
see you. Don't.
Hello?
Okay. You're going to be quick for this interaction, Snafu. What's going on, Steve?
Man, I got a lot going on. I think, and I just chimed over because I'm waiting on something else. The thing is, as you're listening to your conversation about the money situation, money is the transference of energy. It's just the gateway at which you transfer energy from one person to another. It's the means of exchange. So the more you have, the better off, the more exchanges you can have. So it can become your God if you make it your God. But ultimately you have the power of God within you. So it's up to you to understand exactly how to use that power. Most people don't. And the whole business of this governance is to separate you from the God in you. And they're just operating as a trustee to go through them. And if you go through them, then you're subject to whatever they say. And oddly enough, I believe I found solutions, which is what we're truly looking for. But we have to get through the chaos and the confusion, because the confusion is rampant. It's
now
from
throw the other C
base
word on there,
fundamental-
Steve. Chaos, confusion, and cowardice. Because when you said we are looking for solutions, I got to stop you. You're giving a lot of folks too much credit. You're looking for solutions because you're not a fucking coward. Many folks have solutions put in their face they won't embody because they're too scared of the consequences. Continue.
Well, to understand, though, the reason people are cowards is because they're conditioned to be a coward. You're born into submissive parents because the parents were enslaved mentally and emotionally and spiritually when they were born. So this constant continuance of that cowardism is just transferred to you, and then it's advocated to you to be a coward, but it's advocated for you to conform, to submit. And, you know, like I say all the time, it's like the wolf comes by and just takes a bite out of your ass. He tell you it's going to be okay. You're going to recover. Your butt will heal and all that. But he's going to take that bite out of your ass nonetheless. So the thing to keep in mind is just that as you try to find your way through this world, more times than not, you're going to find it's a whole lot simpler if you just submit. If you just submit, things are going to be easy for you. But if you challenge it, if you say, hey, I don't understand why I'm doing this, then you're going to struggle, because it's not designed for you to get through copacetically with controlling your own energy. It's designed for you to submit to their control and do as they say. And that's the situation that we're all in. So yes, it does take a level of courage to stand up against this stuff. And when you stand up against it, it does fight back. And trust and believe, it's a spiritual battle more than anything else, because we don't understand that we have, again, the power of God, and that's a spiritual energy that we can control those upper frequencies. And when you get control of those frequencies, it's not easy, because most folks don't hear those frequencies, or they're not on that level. So because they're not on that level, they're on the lower frequencies where the animals are. And everybody has that animal instinct. But when you're on that lower level, because these are things that are all wrapped around faith. And faith is what you manifest and what you create. The enemy cannot create anything. The enemy can only confuse and disrupt whatever you have. And again, because they put the money in place, they've been able to control the access to energy.
That sounds a lot like fellow panels that we've seen on here, Steve, and panel members. They can't seem to create anything on their own. They can only serve to disrupt or attempt to discredit. So fascinating mirror simulation. Continue.
So when you speak of people who just disrupt, everybody's got a purpose, and some purposes are grand and some are minor. But even with the minor purpose, that minor purpose at the right time is everything. So, don't think just because you're not called to lead the world that you don't have a purpose. That purpose, once fulfilled, impacts the world. So everybody has to begin to understand who they are and what power they have, and start evoking that power and putting it into action. Again,
Steve, what are your thoughts on that symbol behind us? I'm curious, just for my own personal interaction with you. What are your thoughts on the Ouroboros? What does it mean to you? What does it call out in you? What does it represent, and how do you deal with it, if at all, if any of that even applies?
I'm curious as to, I want to look it up because I think it's pretty fascinating. It's Alpha Omega to me, the never-ending loop of life, in that life constantly it's infinity. So energy is infinite. And to me, that symbol of the dragon chasing the tail, and to me, that's evil always chasing itself. So it never ends. But I believe the better symbol is the yin and the yang. because that's the exact symbol of life. This is a symbol of, I'm not sure. I want to research it, but just looking at it on the surface, it's evil chasing itself. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I mean, I guess I could argue it's just, as you put it, I don't necessarily down the lower aspects of self. I just think the higher aspects of self have to guide, if that makes sense. It has to all work together. But I kind of view that as the lower kind of reptilian nature, or the worldly self, just kind of incarnating in this realm and chasing something that can never quite be acquired or attained. You know, you see a lot of these folks seemingly doing this at Hollywood. Incarnating here in a body. Yeah, you could look at it that way. I'm sure it's no coincidence. Chasing the dragon.
I want to ask a question real quick, Steve, if I may. So, you know, I'm into that whole New World Order, subliminal messaging, blah, blah. And we talked about NFL being rigged, not rigged, blah, blah. What do you think about them, not only in the algorithms now, but like they're actually slipping up on news sites and predict, like straight up saying that the Super Bowl will be San Francisco and the Ravens, and they're pushing merch, they're pushing the algorithms for that. That's the prediction, at least in AI, mainstream media, blah, 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 blah. Now, we've talked about that before. Have you heard anything? Just be real.
No, I tell people all the time. I mean, I don't doubt that they can rig it with the refs, but to simulate the 22 men
San
doing
Francisco
what they do,
and Ravens is what
next
we're
to
witnessing
impossible.
subliminal messaging on.
I get it.
I guess we'll find
to
out.
me, yeah, we'll find out. My biggest thing is that the main thing is to just manipulate the people for betting. Because if they're subliminally putting it out there that it's going to be the Ravens and the Niners, to me, that's just Vegas. Because Vegas wants
and
to
it's not,
make sure.
we're talking about subliminally, like in news and stuff, articles like they've done before, but we've seen NFL games in the past, from the past, certain scores match up to the whole gematria shit. I won't go into it. I just was curious about your thoughts on it. The subliminal messaging, New World Order, we went over the Nike thing, San Francisco and Ravens, they're pushing a lot of money into that game happening. Just wanted to know your thoughts. But
And I'm saying I think it's that's Vegas pushing a narrative that they want for gambling, because if they can push a narrative and then that's not the outcome, they win. Because
if you're going to go this route, really spice it up. Steve, you ever been to a P. Diddy party? Because Cat Williams has been talking about those lately. And I want to know if they... Snafu, please, shut up. I'm taking over. Snafu, shut up. You had your chance. You got a famous football star here, and you dropped the ball, pun intended. So
never been to any of those parties, no. I have never been to them. And
never invited you? They know who to invite, not. They go, don't invite this Steve guy. He ain't going to let P. Diddy pop him. Don't invite him. There's no point. He's already doing legal lawful. He ain't going for it.
The question is, how many of your friends got popped by P. Diddy during that time, you know? Did they come back and tell you, like, damn, my booty's sore from that party last night?
One of the running backs. I was with P. Diddy last night. I can't run the play. He's laughing. You hear that laugh? That means yes, he ain't going to talk about it.
No, I was in New York for one season. That was 2001. That was 9/11. I got invited to 2 parties. I went to one, but that party was there was no superstars there. And the other one was a wine tasting party, which I don't even like wine. So I didn't go to that one. So that was it. I've never been. Now, I've seen a lot of the stars out.
Booty popping Diddy or anything? Wearing his fucking Wheezies?
Nope.
Like, because OTW got some Wheezy shit going
That's
on
the
now.
thing, Snafu. I keep trying to tell you, Steve's one of the real ones. He's kind of like a regular guy. A lot like how they tell me I'm an E-list YouTube celebrity. I go, the reason me and him are in the same room because we're like a real person, a real guy. So he's not looking to be out with P. Diddy getting booty popped, and he's probably not paying attention to whoever else is doing that. He's probably just looking to succeed.
At that time, he was still on his way up. He was not who he is now. He was still on his way up in 2001. So I didn't know him, never met him, never hung out with him. The closest I got
But
to
I'm
any
sure
of
it's
them was
always been going on. Is the point that he's making is in those circles, those things go on for whatever reason, and there's a lot of power plays, and he's really into the juicy stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
you could
Mr.
get in that
Contracted
life.
Nike, just deny it all, and we can move forward.
I don't.
All right, please.
Look, I don't. You make it sound like I'm still with them. I haven't gotten Nike gear in about 15, 20 years. So no, I don't get it like that no more. It's.
Wait, you were wearing a
Trust
Nike
me when I
shirt
tell
last
you.
month.
Okay, you're done, Snafu. You can't handle it. You dropped the ball again.
Nike. So I got a lot of shit from Nike. So I wear it. So it's just what it is. So
Right, we went over this.
You get a contract, you're gonna wear the shit they give you. So it's just what it is.
Right.
Not to mention they sell it in the store. So, but anyway,
All right, get back to whatever your agenda is or whatever's on your mind. I had to throw the creature out because you can't handle it.
well, just speaking of the transference of energy, and then now understanding with all the stuff I've been doing the last few weeks, and when I say I've been attacked by this whole process, it's been unrelenting. It has been just diabolical, the stuff that, and it's always little stuff that just adds up. And it's like, people just don't, you have to understand because there's a remedy. That's why it continues. I like to believe that I found the remedy, but I'm trying to get through the process to get full relief. And it's not easy. But the biggest thing is people have to awaken to their own God person. You have to wake up. You have to, not yet. We're supposed to have a meeting on it tomorrow morning, by the way, about my website. But as you start to wake up, it's not just woke, it's awake. It's getting clear understanding that the power comes from you, not from somewhere else. Yes, there is universal energy, but you have the ability to harness it, transfer it, manage it, and disperse it as your will determines. And this is a hard concept for many people to understand because we're stuck in the linear only to what we can see, touch, feel, and taste. When you actually understand the greatest power we have is the power to manifest. We can create what we want in our lives through faith. This is a concept that has been driven from us. You think you're just
Wait, so that's not New World Order, like globalism, Klaus Schwab, that you could live in truth and faith and somehow there will be provisions. God in quotes will provide for
that's
its
exactly
people.
what I'm saying. Yes,
wow.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But it ain't easy. I'm not gonna say because of where we are is why it's not easy. If we were born into this realm of understanding and this level of clairvoyancy, we can move into it because we would learn how to do it as we grow. But we don't. We're cut off from it immediately. And then nobody stimulates or presses for that growth. You have to do it for yourself. But as long as the option's out there, they're supposed to let you have it. And literally, I got my free Danny case. I'm waiting to see, are they going to actually let it go through? Because they've done everything wrong in the case. And at this point, they just keep doing wrong. And it's like, okay, you don't have anything left, so you got to let them go. But I just want to emphasize on your point of that you have to accept money is essential, just like air. It's right up there next to it. You need it. Now, how you use it is up to you. You can use it as a weapon, or you can use it as an asset, or a combination of the two. You just have to determine what it is in your life and how you're going to use it. If you want to use it to oppress somebody below you, well, you're doing exactly what the system's doing to us. It's oppressing and controlling us with it. If you use it as the light to transfer others from their despair into a better life or a better existence, it's up to them because they have the power to choose too. So what I'm seeing is that God gives you the two greatest gifts, the gift of free will and the power to choose. And it's up to you on how you use it. God's not going to make you choose, but once you make your choice with the energy that's coming to you, it's going to determine if that energy is not balanced, i.e. you have to keep the good with the bad. You cannot separate them. If you separate them, it will be unbalanced. So, and that's what they tell us to focus on is all the positive and let the negative go somewhere else. Well, that's the problem. In order for you to create, you have to have the positive with the negative charge in order for the current to flow. If you don't have them together, they will not flow and you'll only go so far. So you have to have a place to put those energies, and you find that rather than creating something with a 95% efficiency, you'll create it and it'll have more like an 89 to 91% efficiency. It's not as efficient, but it
also, that's the thing I was going to say. It also either gives you or reveals to you through practice of discernment where you can start to see the move. There's been many times in life where either energetically or conceptually, I could see the move and it kept me where I needed to be and away from where I didn't need to be. So I think that's a key component.
Yeah. So money, again, it's the necessary evil. It can be evil. It can be good. It has both. It has the duality, which is why it's the means of exchange. Because understand, we're just moving current. We're moving the energy of the universe. And how you move it is entirely up to you. You have the power to choose. Do you want to push it out negative? Do you want to push it out positive? Or you can remain neutral. It's up to you. But the
intention does matter and the results matter.
Yes. So been saying this to a lot of folks and kind of just using football. And the manifestation I'm speaking of, in order for me to beat the guy across from me, I have to have a vision of how I'm going to do it. I have to visualize me getting around him or getting underneath inside to make a play. And if I don't visualize that, it won't happen or if he's got more connectivity to his energy, to the power that's coming around him, if he's got a better understanding of that, he's going to beat me. And it's every single play. You have to do it every single time. You have to manifest what you think you're going to do and what you can do versus who you're going against. And then you have to go at it with the energy that's in you in addition to the energy that you projected. And that's what we have to do as people with all that we do. We have to visualize what we're going to do, have a plan on how to do it, train and perform, pushing that energy to whatever we're trying to accomplish, and then make it happen. And it's the unrelenting determination to push that energy out into the universe and make it exist, because it won't exist until you make it happen. But you have to accept the truth. So this is where I think it comes into what the big problem is I actually think the opposite of vision is narcissism. And with the narcissism is when you grab onto a fantasy. So as I was saying before, the athlete looks at, okay, I can beat this person because I'm me. The narcissist says, I'm Michael Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan, and there's no stopping me. So I grabbed a fantasy because I didn't do any of the stuff that Michael did. I don't have any of his talents. I don't have any of those abilities. But if I just say I'm Michael Jordan, then I get frustrated at the universe because, hey, why did that ball not go in the hole like I wanted it to go?
Well, I just spoke on that yesterday, Steve. The difference between imitation versus an imposter. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. That's when you attempt to acquire what you admire and be like the person who you look up to. And then there's an imposter where you claim to be that and you don't have any of the attributes or the results. Keep going. Perfect synchronicity.
Exactly the point. Because again, if I'm sitting there saying I'm Michael Jordan and I'm frustrated because none of the things that I thought were going to do, the layup didn't go like I went, the crossover didn't work like I wanted it to, he didn't fall down like I thought he was going to fall down. Because if all of those things, what happens? I start blaming the universe. I start blaming everything around me. Oh, it's your fault, Pippen. You didn't catch the ball fast enough. Well, you didn't throw it like Mike did. You didn't cross over like Mike did. So I can't do.
How about this? If you ain't Mike, you can't even inspire the team like Mike did. Forget about even the movements, bro. When you come out on the court with Mike, everybody plays to a different level because Mike's there. He gets the best out of everybody. That's a whole other quality, bro. That's otherworldly. That's not about even the physicality of it.
That's his frequency, and his frequency, whatever that level is, whatever uniqueness he has, whatever talent he has, he brings it to the table. But we get caught all the time as people. And this is where I think the cancer is in society, is the narcissist has been empowered to be in power. And it's like, you got just enough. The system itself advocates you. Go ahead. Yeah, you are Mike. Yeah, you're a girl. You're not a guy. Yeah, it's fine. You're a woman. You could do everything a man can do. No, you can't. You are not a guy. You are not a girl. You are not going to bear children with those two nuts you got. It's not. You're not going to host the child inside of you because you are a male. But the system is saying you are. Oh yeah, you are. You can be one. No, you can't.
You're right, Steve, and then they're going to gaslight you. If you don't accept my pronoun, you're a this, and this, and you're going to catch a label. So, yeah, that's exactly what narcissists do. They claim something that is unattainable. They claim it to be attained and only by them, and they're a special, unique group, and then they gaslight everybody else who won't accept their grandiose claim. We see that on panels all the time. Please continue. Very synchronistic.
That's my whole point, is that when you start grabbing the fundamentals and understanding what fundamentally is wrong with our society, then you start grasping the concepts of what they're doing to govern us. Because if they keep us in chaos and confusion, where they got the ham thinking it's the burger thinking it's the fry. Wait a minute. Your hamburger's hamburger, fries are fries. Be that. Stop trying to do shit that you can't, that are not you. Can you be like Mike? Absolutely. If you train hard, focus, and do what you can do, guess what, though? You will never be him, because he's a different person. He's a different creature. You are you. Can you have likenesses? Absolutely, because his talents are similar to many other people's talents. But it's up to you on how you develop your talent. And you got to accept the truth. So again, having a vision is what your true gift from God is. You can see what you want to become, but you have to accept your reality for what's possible. I could play like Mike at some point. I'm 49, probably not going to play now, but if I trained and worked hard, I could get some of those skills. But I'll never be his wife, because even if I get my hoo-hoo cut off and get a snatch put in, it's still not going to be the same. That's not even possible. So this is what I'm saying, is that we're it's like relationships. He'll take anything. He's fine. I don't got to worry about his feelings. Well, there's a problem. He's got feelings too. And if you think that you can just do what you want, then you're going to tear him apart, and it's up to him. At some point, there's only so much of a take. We're running with these unrealistic expectations and not considering the other party in any of these relationships. And if you start grabbing onto narcissistic traits, then you're guaranteed to destroy every relationship in your life. And then the government has a valid reason to stand in there and say, hey, oh, you need therapy, you need emotional support, you need mental health evaluations. Well, guess what? They want and have created a whole medical system to give you drugs to deal with this shit. So your mental and emotional breakdown that you're suffering is because you're trying to be something that you're not. And then there's somebody standing there telling you, well, let's start dealing with this. And then they confuse all the shit, but you're trying to be something you can't be. And when you stop trying to be something you can't be and be the best of who you can be, you find you'll find peace. And once you find
but
peace,
in order to be the best you could be, you first got to accept your worst, right? Most folks don't want to look at their worst and accept it to make it better. And that's the resistance point. So they start trying to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. And then they start hating on Mike when they can't be Mike better than he could be because they lost focus of their work and their purpose to be themselves as good as they could be.
But the healthy way to do that is say, I know I'll never be him, but I can be like him. That's the healthy way to take that. But the narcissist gets frustrated because they can't be him, and it's like
what if we change that because that's going to be triggering? What if we change that because that's going to trigger the ego? Be like him. How about be as good as him?
However close you can be, it's fine as long as the bottom line is Mike can be a goal, but you have to accept your realities, and your reality is that is the very unique individual, and you aspire to be like that individual, but you will never be that individual. You could be even better. That's possible too, but you at least have to have the perspective of understanding I'm not him. I want to do like him, but I'm not him. And kind of watching the playoffs and, how people they're talking about Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and Kansas City here with Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen. I tell you in a heartbeat, Josh Allen is no Pat Mahomes, and he's no Jackson. The best athlete of the three of them is Lamar Jackson, period, hands down. The best performing one has been Pat Mahomes because he does it in the moment. Josh Allen has missed the moment. So it doesn't mean he's a bad player. He's just not as good as those guys. But guess what? He goes back to he's going home because he ain't playing this next weekend. And he's going to be working his ass off because he wants to be like those guys, if not better. And if he trains hard, works hard, and does all those things, he may still not have that talent. That's very, very possible. But he's going to go out with what the talents he does have and perform to the best of his ability, which, again, is just the sad part of everybody ain't cut the same. Everybody don't do the same thing. You do you, but you have to accept you for who you are and don't get mad because you're not somebody else. You just got to find a way to be the best you can be and get around people that make that great. Those are the keys. And so the solutions are getting fundamentally sound. Don't argue about things that you can't change. Things that are national and global, you can be aware of them, but you have to be realistic. How much am I going to change? Am I going to change the war in Israel? Am I going to change Taiwan and China?
Right, but Steve, wouldn't you agree you could use the war in Israel or on Israel to change yourself in a way where you'll be better off regardless of where it goes?
That's inspiration. And yes, you can use that as inspiration to be better, but to be realistic, I'm not going to be there on the ground helping anybody in Gaza unless I get off my ass and go over to Gaza. If I get over there and go to Gaza, then I can make a difference. But now it looks like you could help from the outside, but when you actually get there, oh shit, this is a bigger problem than I ever thought it could be. But you're not going to make any changes until you get off your ass and get over there.
Right, but if you start buying silver, if you start growing food, if you get your own land, if you secure it with the documentation, if you correct your status on record, aka correct the record about your original status that could never change, which is a child of God or made in the image of Most High, however you want to look at that, we could use all these macro events to change the micro situation and then therefore change the macro outcome on a micro level. And that is the way to the way. Right. So when I cover breaking slave news and everything else here, I use it as a source of entertainment and inspiration to remind me of what the fuck I need to be doing and what I don't need to be doing. Go ahead.
Correct. So the lower hanging fruit is getting control of the situation that governs me, not the government, but what governs me. So all politics is local. So start with your local politics. Who's governing you? That's who's controlling your name, who's controlling your likeness, who's controlling your image, and get control of that. Because once you get control of you, now you can start to inspire change in others, which is exactly what I'm doing. I've got pretty good control of me for the most part. The problem is the system just ain't letting it happen. And so I'm trying to break through the barrier to get full control of me so no one else can control me. Once I got that, now I can open the door for saying, okay, folks, this is how you do it. This is how you get control of you. Now, when you get control of you, guess what? You control your economics. Now I control my economics, the very thing you're saying. I can buy 10 houses. And I may live in one and then have the others for family and friends. I don't know. But once I start controlling resources, which the main resource is money, once I start controlling it, now I can set up a network of people that do the same. And that's what.
Right. But Steve, the other reality is too, like we talk privately, I'm concerned that you're going to neglect what's going on right now for what may be up ahead that may never come. And you probably have enough between you and your network to repurpose and refocus and actually make some change for yourself and others, you know, because I get it. You're going toe to toe with these people and their games and their courts and their documentations. When I at risk of doing the we, because I'm doing it with them out there, right? At least seasonally when it's not winter, headed back out there, right? So that, again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm not trying to be judgmental. That's where my concern is, you know, potentially you've gotten a little too comfortable with them and their world. And this whole thing could benefit more from you being that inspiration. I mean, Steve Martin on the ground, like one of them old, you know, 90s NFL commercials. It's like Steve Martin back on the land with the rake. You know, I mean, if you want to look at it as an inspiration, as a movement, that's what it is, bro. Back to the land, being self-sufficient, sustainable, living within our means, and not having such lofty goals or ideals that we trick ourselves and each other out of positions in power in a future. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and but all I'm saying to you is that as breaking through the system and breaking down all the walls and breaking through the barriers, all of it's here for us. And now they've created all this masterful, mysterious illusion and diabolical stuff that they created in front of us. But when you actually tear it all the way down, it's all there for us to control. Basically, like I was, case point, I was working on filing and registering instruments through the post office, when in actuality, I don't need the post office. I need to take over the court. And technically there's a form AO 430 that I used just the other day, filed it into the cases in which I set up the chancellery for the court. So the chancellor is the actual overseer of the court of equity. I've been trying to find the court of equity for 14, 15 years. And now just found a way to set up the equity court that's in the real court. So guess what? I don't have to register shit through the post office because the court itself is a postmaster general. So now I can register shit just like they register the instruments through the court. I just take it over because I get a court of equity. And in a court of equity, if I'm the administrator, I can control everything that goes on in the court. So I don't need to go through the post office because the court itself is a post office. These are the kind of things that I'm figuring out, that I'm breaking it all the way down and saying, oh shit, this is, so everything has been.
All I'm really saying to you, Steve, is I prefer to work with someone like you because you're a large man. You seem to be a strong man inside and out, and you seem to be willing to walk this path and deal with the inevitable potential consequences that come with it. So when I see someone like that who has basically turned away from the world and all of its offerings to walk this way in this path, it just seems to me to be too synchronistic to not want to bring it to the real world ground level, right? So that's all I'm really communicating in what I just said earlier, if that makes sense.
Well, no, I get you, because what I was thinking of when I first started this journey was, okay, let me build me a home, put my own energy source, farm my own food, live off the grid, get out of the system. That's what I originally started doing. But as I started getting more versed into what the process and how this stuff works, it's like, wait a minute, there are some resources here that are in abundance, but they just keep us from them. So as I'm looking at setting up my own, basically, what do they call a homestead? I'm setting up my own homestead, thinking that through. It's like, you know what? I still want that good electricity. And, you know, I did work my butt off to get some of these luxuries, and I don't really want to live off the earth. That's just not where I'm trying to do. But on the same note, I'm seeing that this stuff is right here. And literally what we're really competing with is the bar association. I got an association. I'm like, shit, I could do what the bar did. Because what they've done is they set it up that anybody can do it, but good luck in getting it done. But you have to.
Well, just to be clear about the land thing, I this isn't my forte necessarily. I you know, if I got farming in my blood, I don't know about it. It wasn't what I wanted to do either. It's what I've come to realize is going to need to be done. When I look at the macro situation, again, this is my subjective determination I've come to, that if I do not figure out how to grow my own food and live off the land, I'm going to regret it at some point in the near future. That's been an intuition of mine for a long time, and it's been a macro calculation of mine as far as where this is all going, beast system simulation style, right? We've been here before, bro. They did this all before. Great Depression, Depression Gardens, people not eating out in the streets. I'm not going to be sitting there holding on to fucking luxuries when I got nothing to eat. That would be foolishness, and that would be a product of the deceiver and the worldly way.
Agreed. And I'm saying that even when you get certain levels of economic wealth, these are things you need to have just because you need to have them. You need to be able to feed yourself. I think that's a paramount. So yes, regardless of how much money you get or have, find a way to feed yourself, or at least grow enough crop. So, you know, if I don't have any animals, then I just raise or have herbs and spices that I can then sell. Because then I'm
saying, even if you got something out back that you just know you can can up enough to get you through the winter at best, right?
Yeah,
if you have
I'm saying is that if I just have small cultivation, you know, because if I don't get 50, 60 acres, then I just get a small cultivation, 1 or 2 acres. I grow some potatoes, some corn, and maybe some soybeans. So I can have a means of exchange as well. So it's something that I can eat for myself, as well as I can exchange it in, because to have
I see what you're doing, Steve. You're gonna eat the first 2 and then sell the soybeans to all the beta males who appear on these panels because they're really into soy. I see what the fuck you're up to, man. You're a smart man, bro. That's why I want to work with you.
Saying, well, this again, everybody's got a perspective, and much like you're saying, everybody's perspective has some base. And the thing is that we just have to get on the same frequency so we all can start redesigning our community, because the community is here. There's no reason to reinvent it. The thing is to get it uncorrupted, because there's nothing that was created just out of pure evil. Everything was created with some good intention at the beginning. At some point, it's been weaponized. So I say that to say the education system is a good system, but it's been weaponized. The healthcare system is a good system, but it's been weaponized. The transportation system is a good system, but it's been weaponized.
You're starting to sound a lot more like Snafu Snaps.
Well, he's got bases. Everybody's got a base. If you de-weaponize the things and let it just be for the original intention, then success can truly happen. That's why the society is as great as it is. But it's just utilized to service just that 1%, and they weaponize it just enough so that they can do what they want. But again, like I said, the wolf can come by, take a bite out of your ass, and say, here's a Band-Aid, here's some tape, here's some stuff to make it feel okay. But, you know, because it's not trying to eat you all at once. It wants you still to go work and generate what you can for the system. So that's my soapboxing. Not everything I've worked on, but that's kind of what I bring to the table as of this point.
All right, I'm about 20 minutes over, Steve. Hopefully, faithfully, you'll be back tomorrow so we can have more time. Mitchell jumped up here. I think he had something that he wanted to kind of address with you. So we'll do that quickly if you want to entertain that, and then we'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I guess the fundamental point I wanted to try and get at is I get from you that you want to control the trust. And I just think that fundamentally that's a bad idea to try. I think that I don't know how to say this simply. Sorry, but I didn't think it through. But I was going to try and pick at you a little bit, one point at a time. But essentially, I think that if we learn to utilize the trust, because he who creates controls, you probably know that, and so
That device is terrible. I know you didn't create that device, but you got to control it better or get a better one, because we've done this way too many times to do this with the great Steve Martin co-starring with the God of all media. It's been, I want to hear you. I appreciate your commentary, but the crackling consistently is maddening at this point.
Yeah, well, I could throw in my Bluetooth, see if that helps.
Try it out, man.
Well, I could address the first point, which you're saying about controlling the trust. Is yes, it's dangerous. Anytime you're going against people who seek power, it's dangerous as hell. You could get really fucked up doing it. Trust me, I already have been. But again, I don't let that stop me, because anything that's been created in my and this is, I have a religious guy I talk to about this all the time, always says that everything God created is good. Yes, but man corrupts it. And
do you ask him if God created the devil?
Yes, he's a left-handed God. So it is what it is. But you again, think of everything as energy, positive, negative, and neutral. That's what it is. That's the world. That's the yin and the yang. As a lady told us when I was on a little pilgrimage, she said the thing to do when you create is always keep the positive and negative together. What I believe this system has done is separated the positive from the negative. They they preach the positive in the church, and people try to live an absolute positive life, which is truly impossible. You can't live a totally positive life. You're going to have bad shit happen to you, because that's life. The negative happens. But when you create, if you create and stop trying to make it perfect and accept that it's going to have its flaws, yeah, the efficiency goes down on the so like I was saying, it's not 95, 98% perfected. It's more like 89, 91% perfective, but it's got its negative to it. But when you have the negative created, the same time you created the positive, the energy flows right away. When you create the positive without the negative, the energy doesn't flow until it has some place to ground. This is all about electricity, but understanding it in a spiritual sense. So you manifest your ideology, whatever you're trying to do, you manifest that in your own head. I'm going to run 20 miles. Okay, well, if you're 300 pounds and out of shape, 20 miles is not on the registry today. But you have to get up that first day and say, I'm going to do this often enough to where I'm going to be able to run 20 miles. So the negative is, as soon as you stand up, your knees are squeaking, your back is hurting, all the negative comes with it. But once you make that decision that this is what you're going to do, you're going to go through the pain to get where you're trying to go. And this is what I'm saying about the challenging of the simple thing, that this thing was created, this trust was created for this grand benefit that we all have, but they never want you to touch it because they're the ones that want to control it. But if you get control of this, I'm going through great pain to get access to the sumbitch. Let's keep that clear. It has not been easy. But in going through that suffering, I've learned this about the energy that I'm trying to master. And I have the ability to master it because I've mastered everything else in my life. So that's the challenge we all have. And it's up to each of us to nope, everybody's not going to do what I've done. But if I could show you steps that you can do that are similar. Again, I'd be the Michael Jordan in this. You ain't gonna be me, but hey, you'll get
People have been
hell of a
working on
dunk.
this secured party creditor stuff for a long time, man. You know, it's like, I don't think you would be reinventing the wheel, but I think there's a reason why nobody has gained control of the trust that was created for your benefit by them, because it's not your trust. And that's what I wanted to kind of press you on, is like, I've heard you kind of like identify with the trust as in thinking that it's yours. And I just disagree with that. It's not yours. It was created for your benefit, but really the only power you have is to learn to utilize the trust as the beneficiary and not the trustee, where you've been accepting the responsibility the whole time. So,
well, that's the first thing I did. That's the first thing I did in probate, was shut down that I'm not the creator of the trust, because there's no way I can contract at 0 years old. My parents had to contract, not me. So removing myself as the settler was the first thing. The second thing was establishing an administrator. What they need with the administrator is you have to have a process and procedure, line of succession, in that you can't be the only one managing it, because if you pass away, who manages it? But the
right,
administration,
you can't occupy all three positions of a trust, or there's no point in having a trust. But you know, I get that.
I got two positions, not three. That's what I'm trying to say, is I'm not the creator. Because I'm not the creator, I can occupy the other two. So I'm the benefactor by birth, because it was written for me. But I'm taking the role of administrator because I created my own administration. And in my administration, it's basically a will, where I'm saying,
you could argue it multiple ways. You could argue you could occupy all three, or I guess two positions in that case. In any trust, you could occupy all three positions. But in that case, you could be the benefactor or the beneficiary, because you could argue, why would my mother bear witness to have me entered into a system that wasn't going to be strictly for my benefit? If she knew any detriment would come to me, she wouldn't be a part of it. So if you're going to cause me loss, injury, or harm to me, then this contract is null and void.
But she signed the contract with the registrar. I didn't. I couldn't sign the contract with the registrar because I didn't know. I had no cognitive knowledge of language or the ability, motor skills to write. She's the only one that could have contracted. I could not contract, therefore I can't be the creator. So that automatically takes me out of the third position of the trust. Forming an administrative deal is just putting together a will. If I die, my brother takes over. If he dies, my sister. If she dies, then my oldest son, so on and so forth. I've already got that done. So when you set up your administrative part, now they basically need to know that you're going to be able to manage this trust, because this trust exists indefinitely. So they need to see the right of succession. So that's what I did. And then I made it unincorporated. So it's an association that is not within their jurisdiction. It's outside of their jurisdiction. Then I found the 1789 Constitution, for which all of their oaths of office are bound to, not the 1776 version of the Constitution. That's another story in of itself. But now I found the origins for which their oaths of office are bound. And then I put in, like I said, Form AO 430, that then kicks it up a notch, saying that we're going to equity jurisdiction. Now I got a court of equity, and every court is a court of equity. All these circuit courts are courts of equity. So yes, it's been extraordinarily challenging because they don't hide. This goes back to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And they romanticize it as probably, but that's the oldest book we know of.
As long as there have been broken hoes and pimps, this has been going on in different forms.
True. So when you start understanding that they created this whole administrative process just for you to try to figure it out, and once you figure it out, now they try to kill you, but that's understanding how to shut down the military. You have to shut down the military because we're all dealing with the military occupation. Because we're all Title 50 U.S. citizens, that we are enemies of the state, or we're prisoners of war. So you have to know those things. When you shut down everything fundamentally, now you put them in a position where they have to really govern, and they have to yield their governing position. And that's where I'm at literally today. that my boy Danny, they were supposed to have an arraignment. The arraignment was originally scheduled for February. They moved it up to today. They didn't have an arraignment today. They just had another magistrate come in because I blocked everything I just told you. I just did in his case. So they won't arraign him because I took over the court. So all they could do is negotiate with him and try to create another contract. And so I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't able to attend because they extradited him to Texas. So I couldn't witness, and they made sure they didn't have any WebEx or nothing that I could log in to be a part of that court case. So all I got was him. And so I got to work on getting some money on his book so we could talk about it in greater detail. But the bottom line is that they put all this shit together so that you never want to go after what they have for you. They don't.
There's a lot of people that have. There's a lot of people that have tried this. There's a lot of people that have. And so the terms and ideas that you're using aren't new to me. But what I've observed and my experience with this stuff is that people have learned and are effectively able to benefit from the trust, but nobody has been able to do what you're talking about, take control of the trust. And to me, it doesn't make sense. It seems like an impossibility, but
Slo's climbing Mount Everest. So's trying to fly around the world. There's always things that are deemed to be
controlling a
impossible,
trust
but
that you did not create is an impossibility to me.
I did create it. I just didn't knowingly create it. I didn't knowingly create any of this stuff. I came into this society subject walking in the door.
The trust was created for your benefit.
Agreed. But
you
I
didn't
but it
create
came
the
up.
trust.
If I wasn't here, there would be no trust for Stephen Martin.
Right, but that trust was created not by you, by somebody else for your benefit.
Yeah, it says to KV Trust. Yeah, it's created for me. So if it's for me, well, shit, I want everything that's for me. If it's for me,
you can utilize it, and that's what I'm telling you. Like
that's what I'm trying to do.
There are people that have effectively been able to benefit from the trust by using financial instruments and what have you.
I've done that.
Right.
I've done those
but
things.
There's nobody who has been able to get that black card that gives them access to the Treasury direct account and where they can get whatever they want that is beneficial to them.
There's no black card. There's no black card, by the way.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's not there. It's not. The idea is great, but it's not there. Like nobody has actually been able to get direct access to that Treasury
that's
account.
Just what it is. I mean, just because nobody's done it doesn't mean it's not possible. This is a man-made creation. And if it's a man-made creation, it can be utilized and manipulated by another man. I don't have to yield just because they say.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Maybe like some of your mentors, are you willing to share? Because I'm trying to understand where you get this idea that you have some sort of right or even ability to take control of that trust. So if you're willing to share some mentors, I'd love to go look deeper into this.
To be honest with you, I've passed most of the mentors that taught me.
That's fine. I've seen you around in these communities.
I'm standing in a position because I put my ass where my mouth is. Everything I've done it. I'm not talking theory. I'm not talking.
That's the thing, Steve. I think Mitch wants to put his mouth where your ass is. I've seen this from him before.
No, it's I'm good. It's just thinking, realistically about the situation. It's like, I wish you the best of luck, but I don't think that. I would like to hear where you got this idea that you could even take control of the trust. I'm trying to follow the logic.
Okay, I got the idea because I got my ass kicked in court. That's how. You go get your ass kicked a couple times, you be like, this is some bullshit.
Well, I've been dealing with the system for a long time, so I've been through it. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, so like you're not just talking to somebody, you know, who's new to this. Like I do have some familiarity with how the concepts work, and so, you know, it would be helpful to kind of like pinpoint that logic where that you.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, when I talk about vision, it's a vision that I got. It's a calling that I feel like God called me to do. God called me and told me when I went through my divorce, said, you will lead armies and legions of my people, and I will send you a poet and a sayer. And I didn't know what the hell that meant. But I got a poet and a sayer, and I'm getting out here recruiting the armies and legions of God's people. That's how me and Paul did. And when you start putting together that's a vision I got. Nobody else got that, just me. So
but how does that relate to the trust? Like, it sounds good.
Because that's the weapon. But that's the weapon of mass destruction. That's how they control and rule us. That's how they've done it for centuries. We have had the ability to get out of slavery.
That's how they control the trust. And the problem is you identifying with the trust, thinking that you have claim to it, like it's yours.
I do. I have absolute claim to it, and I've taken over the probate case. I opened the probate case, and I'm not dead.
Where, like, is that memorialized in law? You know,
I opened a probate case for my name, and I'm not dead. They conditioned us to believe that if you go to probate, you have to be dead. Not only did I open the case, but I paid for it for free after the first time I filed it in civil. Not only did I opened the case, but I took it over. I fired the judge. So I'm the only one that files in that case.
How I interpret that is that it just allows you the opportunity to be the beneficiary. You work with the government.
I'm the trustee and the beneficiary.
Get people put away for murder.
Okay. Remember when you came and visited me and you were telling me how Mitch was trying to like hug up on you and shit? Like totally hug you, and you know, I was just like, what's up, dude? Like, you know, what's up, you know, homie? Mitch, tell us more about how you tried to hug O'Shea and love on him, and now you're talking shit, just like you're loving and hugging on him.
So what if I met up with Brian and immediately gave him a hug?
Oh,
I might even
have
an erection about it too. What the fuck are you gonna do about it?
This is Mitchell's newest
Even
clip.
Brian said he had a good
time. We all know, but you're a bitch.
You jealous, Snafu? You jealous you didn't get to rub up against Brian's nipples like I did? It's artificial intelligence. It's not me.
That's very telling, right? That was Mitchell fighting with someone else and revealing some things about himself. No, we just heard it. We just heard it. Steve, you just heard that, didn't you?
That was your creation that you can control. You can.
Steve, you just heard that, right?
Accept responsibility for it.
I don't know what it was though.
Yeah,
but
it's fraud.
Nonetheless,
that's what it is. It's deception for one's benefit.
No, what my biggest point to you, Mitchell, is I feel where you got doubt. I fear where you got misunderstanding about what this is, and everybody does it at their own peril. I've suffered greatly from doing this. It has not been a comfortable walk. So be clear. Let me be clear. But I do understand the bottom line is, if we learn commerce as opposed to learning business, we're able to do this stuff. But we're taught business. We're not taught commerce. So that's the education
all that, man. Like none of this is new to me. All I want to know is, where do you get the idea? Where is it memorialized in law that you can even potentially take control of that trust?
That's between me and God, bro.
All right, so there's none. There's no evidence of that.
Data. No, what evidence do I need other than the fact that I've done what I've done? I've done a lot in this whole process. I've just not achieved the ultimate goal.
I've seen you around, man. I've been around. But there are.
Are you close to your father? Not really. Does he even return
your
call?
I think you're trying. I do. I don't. I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree and maybe come to another.
Well, you don't have any. You don't have any faith
to have this conversation where we could, like,
If you don't have the faith I have, then we're not going to agree. You have to have faith. You have to have faith that there's a better life.
I do have faith.
But you don't have faith in this. You don't have faith in this. You have faith in
it. Doesn't make any logical sense. There's a maximum
logical sense.
He who creates controls. It's that simple.
Everything I just shared with you are the mechanisms for getting the logical pieces in place to take this over. That's what I'm just explaining to you. And again, because you haven't done it, you haven't been down these roads.
Nobody's done it. Nobody's done it. I've been down these roads, but nobody's been successful at it.
But nope. Has anybody told you about AO430?
You're not a pioneer, Steve.
No. Well, kind of. Because I've done something other people haven't done. I mean, AO430 was just brought to me on Saturday, and I put that into effect Monday. And the stuff I'm doing with constitutional stuff is stuff that was crafted a year ago, that was just tested 4 or 6 months ago. Those things have worked for the people that brought it to me, so I put it and utilized it in my situations. So I'm real-time testing everything I'm doing. I'm not talking about stuff everything I'm doing.
That, but you're also bringing the burden to bear to the people, essentially. You know what I'm saying? It's like you keep talking about how you're suffering, you've gotten attacked, and this and that. And look, man, you're not the only one. Like this shit, there's people in jail right now, you know, that have been there for a long time. You know, just for speaking truth.
I'm trying to get one of them. I'm trying to get one of them out right now. That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
It happens all the time.
But again, anytime you rebel, this is what's going to happen. When you go against the empire, you got to go against the empire.
You don't rebel. That's from my perspective, is you don't rebel. That's being combative. You don't. That's exactly what they want.
No, you rebel in peace. You rebel with the concept of knowing that I'm on the side. I've got truth. I've got honor. I've got justice on my side. I've got God on my side.
Well, if you're in peace and you're in honor, then you're not rebelling. You're asserting yourself appropriately.
Are you a beta male?
Who keeps saying that? No. The thing is that again, this is the part of courage that most folks don't have, because we've been conditioned not to fight. And when you're fighting, you're just standing up for your rights. You're not really combating. I'm not going after the judge with a sword and a saber. I'm saying, yo, you don't have jurisdiction over me. Everything you're doing is unlawful. Everything you're doing is
it in honor.
My rights.
But my point is, if you're doing it in honor, then you're not rebelling. You're just asserting yourself appropriately.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. But the point is that I'm not sitting still and letting them shove that dick in my mouth anymore. And they ain't
but you're
gonna
not the only one. There's a lot of people.
I know, but you gotta. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So you gotta stand up. But it's one of those. If you're gonna do the fight. And it's a fight to stand up for yourself. It's not, I'm trying to blow somebody up. I'm just not going to let you trespass on me. That's it. And when you do that, it takes courage, and it's not easy for people to do it because, again, nobody has any courage anymore. So as I'm saying,
logically, if that logic held true to your logic, then you would have done this, and then you would be coming to teach us after you've done it.
I'm in the process right now, bro. I literally got the case today. We had a hearing
many
today.
people have been in the same process that you're in.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You're not the only one that's taking it there.
I've got a group that
you haven't succeeded.
Your point. I mean, it's how you blow up a Death Star. It didn't just happen with one X-wing fighter. It took thousands of them going there. And the one got through. That's what it takes. Thanks for, I don't have a problem with you dissenting, but you got to pick a side. Are you going to do it or are you not? Because if you're not going to do it, then don't just sit back and hate.
What I'm not going to do is lay claim to their property. That's what I'm not going to do.
Don't. I'm not.
Because then you would have to prove, that it's yours. And I hate to tell you, but this message from God is not going to hold up. You know?
You have no faith. I can't make you be
I
faithful.
do have faith, but to them, that has no evidence. That carries no evidence.
In this. You have no faith in this process. That's fine.
I do. I do, and I've been successful.
Emotional damage.
I don't have faith that you can control something that you did not create, and
that's your choice. I'm not here to make.
No, that's not a choice. It's law.
That's your choice.
That's the law. That's the law.
No, that's your choice. It's your choice
No,
to
it's
believe
the law.
that.
I didn't choose that. I'm citing to you
It's
the
your
law.
choice to.
It's not my
your
choice. I'm
choice to
citing
believe
to
that
you the law.
Beta.
I've got bro. Did I just tell you all of the different things that I got? And these.
Well,
are
then
just
it's
some
not my
things.
choice.
I've got
It's not my choice. I'm reciting a maximum law.
I've got maxims of law too. I know exactly what you're talking about. And again, it is not the reason why I know it's mine. And here's a bona fide proof that I know you haven't done or know you don't know anybody that did it. Have you ever heard of a slug? It's called a state and local government. It's called a state and local government securities. It's a bond traded on the Treasury Direct. You can go and log in and try to get one right now. I promise you won't get a login. You know why? Because I filled out the form and I did all the stuff to get the slug. The guy called me, talked to me for 3 hours, said there's no way you can have access to a state and local government security unless there's one in this system with your name on it. We argued for 3 hours. We agreed to disagree and I hung up with him. 2 weeks later, he sends me a username and login. I log in and I see the damn slug, but it's just the data part. I couldn't see all of the transactional history and everything like that. But basically, the instrument they create is called a slug with your birth certificate attached to it. All of your transactions are tied to it. They won't let me get the full access because I did not do all these other things that I've done to access the slug. Since 2016, the judges are doing this. When you go into court, they pull up your slug and they can see your full transaction history since the day you were born.
Steve, you're not getting it. Mitchell is a slug, and he's done this with everyone. And I have to go now because it's 48 minutes over, and I haven't eaten yet today. And I want to preserve your energy for tomorrow. Faithfully, you'll be back with us tomorrow, and Mitchell can go find someone else to spin a loop with.
I'm in real time with this case, just so you know. But that if I don't come, it'll be because I'm on the case. But thank you for having me as always, Paul. It was a pleasure debating with you, Mitchell. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the conversation, Steve. I'll talk to you. I'll see you around.
All right,
I appreciate you, Steve. I look forward to seeing you again. Stop by whenever you have some free time, and you want to discuss things. Always an open door policy here.
All right, bro. Be well.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you, Paul. Have a good night, man, and get some sustenance. Peace, prosperity, pineal power, all those good things. And yeah.
Thank you, Penal Power. Good to have you here. Good to have Steve stop by. That was a good surprise, I guess you could say. Good ending to the broadcast. Powerful broadcast. We're going to end this broadcast uncharacteristically with a clip because I don't think Mitchell gets it.
The government is a figment of your imagination. It's an artificial, intelligent overlay.
Don't you get it?
It is only a concept. It's a play. It's a performance. It's an act. They love when I have to fucking go off. I can look at something from a few different sides, and I can see where it all connects, despite what they're telling me. Right? They just look at what they're told. I look at what makes sense. They'll say I'm doing word salad. They'll say that I'm just going off on my own tangent, but that is because my mind works in a different way than the majority of the slaves. You guys are all in your feelers and never see the logic behind life, how it all moves together and fits together and how it works. So when you learn to check your feelers and move them out of the way and just observe with clarity and presence and awareness, you will make the right determinations and the right decisions. It's all the same shit over and over again. And no matter how much I speak on self-empowerment, self-mastery, self-reflection, you all have a belief and a feeling that's going to trump that. Ancient wisdom that works for everybody who embodies the path. You're not your own God. I know you want to be, but you're not. As soon as you get in line with what that thing wants from you or what is, you'll stop having these fucking problems. problem. I view all the rest of this shit as a distraction. Governance is an act and a play, and it requires your belief and participation. The culture, the society, the legal system, the legal society, policy, statute, and code is the original artificial intelligence and state of consciousness that has been overlaid on the NI. And that's why you have domesticated slaves and you have uncivilized men like myself. You don't want to accept that there's an objective morality that exists in this realm that every man and woman can comprehend using objective logic. It's not about wanting the fame and the riches. It's about being good at what you do, being recognized for it, and then when you get to the dance, telling all the people to suck your dick in public and leave because you never wanted to bond with them anyway. That's the whole point of being true to yourself, is so that wherever you get to that you're meant to go, you don't have to change that. Quite the opposite. That's what got you there. I got a direct link to that spirit and to the people who chicked it in. You can't get in between them. That's beyond worldly power. That's where you go beyond the ceiling that they don't want you to go beyond. That's the stage of inspiration and empowerment. They can't control you no more. They can't influence you no more. They can't put fear on you and things around you to stop you from being who and what you're meant to be. That's the game for me. That's the game for all of us, I thought. Actualized and realized. Written on our heart, first and foremost, through common sense, that if not overlaid with some dogma and indoctrination, we could all communicate harmoniously. Right? So I'm never going to accept, unless my perspective completely changes, that there isn't an objective morality here that can be hit as a standard and understood by any being with the capacity of objective logic, understanding right from wrong. Okay? So you just want to say statute, policy, and code is law, and the law is the law, even though they're making it up and revising it constantly. And it's not always in line with objective right from wrong. So you're completely misunderstood. You guys talk from feelers. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Your etymology is never sound because you don't care to look into the words and terms. This should not be that difficult. But for beings who lost the ability to imagine, I'm sure that it's quite the Herculean task. You should be able to zoom out and see all the connections and how it relates. You can't do that, you have no business speaking to someone else who can. There is no selfless component to you folks' consciousness. And it's evident because you constantly project onto others how selfish you think they are, because you don't think that that state of consciousness is attainable. Embarrassing.
God of all media.